In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Paz and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things, and it's called Best Gen because most of us are pretty much, roughly, más o menos from the same generation, and we think that it's the best because our movies were better back in the generation. Entertainment didn't seem to hate its core consumers, and so we're going to talk about it. So strap on in and prepare to wax nostalgic as we reminisce upon these days of yore and simultaneously complain about the utter filth that's just getting pushed out of the sludge pipe that is modern, woke, gross Hollywood. And oh boy, it's a doozy this week. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got Madam Web, the best Valentine's movie of all time, and some people have started watching Delicious in Dungeon because of me, so there's a little cherry on top, and we're basically just clenching our butt cheeks, getting ready for The Last Airbender next week. So get ready for that. We've got Albeleo on the stream. Did I say it right? Yes, I'm getting good at it.
Yeah, I was going for Albeleo.
We got Albeleo on the stream. We loved the conversation last time. Obviously, check out his channel if you haven't already. It's some really, really fun, quite unique. I love your style of video.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna turn you up a little bit. You're a little quiet, but I got it.
Sorry.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Hanging in there.
I'm sorry, by the way, that I made you all watch this movie.
Hey, it was a fun time.
I was going to say, how many actually did see it? Because usually we don't get everyone to see it.
Well, we had fun because we all saw it together, David, Jared, and I.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
And the theater, I think, had fun. They were all laughing at the same parts that we were. It wasn't just us.
Yeah.
It wasn't just us being rude in the theater. Like, everyone was laughing.
Yep.
Yeah.
At one point in particular, there was laughter for 10 solid seconds. It was just uncontrollable.
Oh.
And it was supposed to be a serious moment,
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that nobody watching this, because nobody in general should care about spoilers, so we could probably just...
Oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
spoil. We're gonna spoil
yeah.
the heck out of this movie. I mean, it already soiled itself, so I don't feel bad.
Spoiled, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I sat. The guy sitting next to me was a stranger. He's like, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure this is gonna be bad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be laughing the whole time, so I'm sorry in advance. I was like, oh no, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. And it definitely wasn't very full. There were like probably 2 or 3 rows that were.
I think there were 10 people in our. Theater.
I was fairly surprised at how many people were in my theater. It was not much more than that. There was, 2 or 3 rows worth of people there, spread out a little bit. But I also go a lot late at night to like the 10 p.m. or the 9 p.m. showings of stuff. and I'm usually going to a show that sometimes a couple weeks late. So I'm used to like there being nobody in the theaters. Mix that with what you expect coming out of this movie with what everybody's like not even going to bother because it's so terrible. All the reviews. I was really surprised that on a Saturday afternoon there was actually a good number of people in that theater. So.
Well, that was not the
That's
case
in California
with the theater we went to. There were seats that were sold out. That it sold when you got to pick your seats. When I purchased the tickets,
and people didn't show up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I bet you there was a lot of people who booked early and then it was like, oh yeah, never mind. I don't think we'll go and try to cancel or whatever.
Well, a lot of people have those like memberships too. Maybe that's I don't know.
Well, and I do too, but for some reason the Regal one it charges you to book online. So like it's usually a free ticket, but if you book online, it's like a 50% or like a 50-cent charge or something like that. And it's not much, but it's like, well, why not? Especially because we're not a busy theater. I just show up and I never have a problem getting in, so not worth the 50 cents for me. But yeah.
Well, we've already got a lot of people in the chat. Mark Clark, our wonderful channel member. If you want to become a channel member too, it's just a 99 cents, and you get access to emojis. And you get early access to all of my videos, which is sometimes literally just the night before they go live. But when I get a big video that gets copyright struck, members get early access to those. So, Justin Hancock, hail. We will spoil away. Yeah, and Charles. Is someone called us millennials? I think technically we are, right?
We are all technically from the age range for the millennials.
Hey, but I identify as a boomer, so you can choose to see my truth, or you can be a bigot. So, Albeleo, you got like for maybe not everyone saw our last episode. Do you want to just like tell us about your channel real quick before we get into this?
Sure thing. So I make fun, critical videos.
Really nice looking videos.
Yeah, they're so fun, critical movie reviews, video discussions about Hollywood, entertainment, some of the business a little bit, and everything's in pixel art. So if you like retro games, well, that's my neck of the woods.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. It's a nice little theme you got there going. Should we just do it? Let's stop beating around the bush and talk about this stupid movie.
Yep.
Let's beat the bush some more.
All right. Madam Web. It was a film.
It was. You really do put it about the same spot as Morbius. Like it's.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, so this is my first step into the Sonyverse. I haven't seen any of the. I haven't seen Morbius or any of the Venom movies.
The Venoms are better, but they're all kind of like they feel like early '90s comic book movies, and Venom and Venom 2 mostly pull it off in a way that it's enjoyable. Morbius and Madam Web. Morbius tried too hard to think it was going to be connected to the MCU. Madam Web, it sounds like they thought they were going to do that, and then they scrambled and realized that maybe they couldn't, or maybe they were going to do something else, and then they tried to scramble.
They couldn't even say Peter Parker's name. Like that had to have been like a legal thing, right? Yeah.
No,
because they were building up to it the whole movie to be like, oh, what's his name? There's scenes where they talk about what are you gonna name him? What's his name?
Yeah,
Peter Parker. They couldn't even say it.
Sony has all the rights to Spider-Man.
But they signed an agreement where temporarily he's in part of the MCU. So.
I think there's definitely some legal stuff like that.
Make those movies. They're still the ones that primarily make those movies, and
but they have to be under the MCU contract.
Part of the agreement definitely could have been you're not allowed to put Spider-Man in your other movies.
Yeah,
it's possible, but I don't. I do think that's why they don't have other Spider-Man in there.
Yeah,
but I really think that it's not that they can't. I think that Marvel doesn't want them to. But I'll bet you they could have put originally the plan. It sounds like they wanted to connect this to the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. And then they were like, but no, we want it to be connected to the popular one that's really popular right now with Tom Holland.
The original plan.
Marvel can say, no, you won't connect to Tom Holland. my guess.
From what I've heard, the original plan for the script, it was supposed to be like a Terminator movie, where Madam Web is protecting a young Peter Parker for the whole movie. Back in time.
That would
And
be kinda cool, yeah.
they replaced a young Peter Parker with 3 women.
Randomly, it was bizarre. Yeah,
I think there is something to that naming thing too, because they changed some of the names of, like, for example, Spider Woman, the
changed some
nerdy
names.
one with the glasses. She's supposed to be Julia Carpenter, but they changed her name for some reason to Julia Carver or something like that.
That's because they changed her race. Oh no! Sorry, you're talking
that's
about
not
the one they didn't.
Yeah. No, she's got the same name.
The other one though that's really weird with that is that, like, oh shoot, what was I going to say about that? It's just it's so bizarre that they decided to go that direction. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I know the reason, guys. I have a conspiracy theory for you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, it's the same one that everyone else is thinking.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too. Did you got to see the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, I saw you
It
posted
was a
about it.
banger.
I loved it. I loved it.
I
so
loved
much.
it. I loved it, but I could have loved it more if they actually went completely bananas with it. But I think they wanted to, had some remorse. They had some remorse at the end, I guess.
And to respond a little bit to Mark Clark here, who's wondering what you've done to me because you're counting on me to love everything. This is me, like, hey, I had fun watching this movie, not just laughing at it like I bet these 3 guys did. But I can absolutely agree this was not a good movie.
Yeah.
It was awful.
It wasn't all bad though. There were a couple sequences that I thought were kind of well done.
Do you want to talk about this so we get those out of the way?
Sure. For example, the bit where the dove or the pigeon runs into the window, right, and breaks the glass, and then she had the flashback, and then she opens the window and it comes in. I thought that was a good way of showing that she can affect the course of
having
reality.
Because the other problem is, so the reason that I didn't necessarily love that is because so much of the rest of her flashing felt so bizarre. It felt so nonsensical. It didn't feel like here you are exploring different options. It's I'm flashing back once or twice.
The way that they portrayed her visions was inconsistent for the entire movie. You got to pick how you're going to show them and stick with it.
Yeah, I agree there too.
And it was different every time. Sometimes when it was actually good is when she'd like see the future and then like do the dolly zoom like back into her when she's like, oh, this was a vision. You're like, some of those moments I actually kind of liked. Like it looked good. And then in other points it turned into like ADHD Suicide Squad and editing where you're like, what? I can't even tell what's going on.
Are you telling me that you didn't
isn't she exploring like angles of the multiverse? So like she's in one multiverse where she does something that doesn't work, and then she's like, okay, let's try it again, then go do something that did work, but she does it different, but it sends her back a different spot.
I don't know.
Are you telling me that you didn't like how she could look into the future and talk to the villain who's not actually talking to her?
So I was so confused. I was so confused about that scene. Like I asked you, David, I was like, okay, what's going on? Is this a vision of a conversation that they're going to have in the future? Or is this a conversation that they're having while dreaming? Or is this her physically going to the location and like tapping into the residual energies to have a spirit conversation? And I don't think
crime. Who does that? It's like
I don't think it was ever explained what that was.
I know what it was. It was a reference to Kalo. To Kylo Ren and Rey, to Reylo.
Yeah,
it literally does. I don't find out there.
But even okay, I think it was like a dream, and she was connecting to him via their dreams because they both have the same powers, kind of.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very clear because it was inconsistent with everything else. Like just pick a lane and stick with it.
Yeah.
Here's another example of something that I laughed at that I thought was enjoyable, but I laughed at it harder than they wanted me to, and not just because they wanted me to, was her trying to climb up the wall. It was like, okay, you're trying to make a funny joke. And
But it didn't make sense though, because
it was
why
funny.
would she think that she had spider powers? Up until
Right.
that moment, she didn't know that she.
She has been doing
She
things.
was-
She has been touching things, right?
I think it's because she knew she was having visions, which was described in the journal, but also
No. She read about having visions after she tried to climb the wall.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. It
No,
happened before.
yes.
Oh, I
No, no, no,
remember
no.
that distinctly.
You
She
maybe
I have
read
it here, I
about,
have it
about
here.
spider people. and
That was the
climbing
first
wall.
thing she
Then
read.
She tries to climb the wall, and then she goes back to the book and she says, "Oh, have visions."
The only
Yeah.
connection. The only connection is someone makes the offhand remark, and it was like the cringiest line from Reacher season 2. Right, where it's like, oh, it's a sum. It's a sum. Someone makes the offhand remark that they looked like he wasn't walking on the wall with his feet. He was using his hands like a spider person. And then she goes, spider person? My mom liked spiders. And then abandons the kids in the woods for 3 hours to go look at her mom's journal. And the first thing she reads is, I was looking at spiders, and some of them could walk up walls.
There were people that could walk up walls.
Huh. And
Los
why
araña.
why would she try to do that?
To me, it was something that like it didn't stand out to me as like why did she even try that? It made sense enough. I followed along to be like why she was trying, even though it was definitely a leap. But
If they would have just
it was-
no, it's an editing problem. If they would have just flipped the scenes where she's like, oh, they have visions. I
No,
have visions.
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure-
if
I'm pretty sure that when she read it, she read all of those attributes at the same time. So she said, "Hey, they can crawl on walls, whatever, and they have the mind thing." And that's when she's like, "Oh,
Jared, you're wrong about this.
Noted that.
You said
I'm
superhuman strength. I can look at it right now if you want me to.
Yeah, go
double-check.
pull up
Yeah.
your pirated version.
all right, Angry. Let's settle it.
Justin Hancock has a wonderful, wonderful question here. Were the Peruvians speaking Peru Spanish, or were they Puerto Ricans? They were trying to pass off as Peruvians. None of them were speaking
None.
any Spanish.
Spoke perfect
That's-
English.
yeah.
The only Spanish in the movie is the name of the Peruvian
Las
tribe,
Arañas.
Las Arañas, which is super original.
Spiders.
It's so hard to figure out that it means the spiders.
They couldn't call them
they're-
Los Hombre Araña because that would be Spider-Man.
I love that they're so bad at Spanish that you have to look at Team America to find a better fake language. Like, no, they're running away. They're getting down Pakalaka Daka Street. It's like, well, that's Middle Eastern enough for me. But here, it's just like English. Hello.
Yeah.
It's like,
But the guy did try to fake an accent for half of the movie, and they did run out of budget, so they removed his outfit and removed his accent. So now he's perfectly speaking
Yeah,
English.
no,
You're talking
and-
about the villain or
The bad guy, I noticed
villain.
this. I pointed this out several times during the movie. Every single line from the villain was ADR.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've heard people point that out.
Thank you.
I hadn't noticed
I,
it, but
I was
Some of
losing
it-
my mind about that.
Yep. Some of it was
his
so bad
dialogue
that
and his accent was really, really bad. That's what I'm paying you for. I'm paying you lots of money for this. You know, like,
And it never synced with his lips. And it was
Yeah.
just him. It was just him.
it's really weird.
Oh, I just checked
was
it.
so
Yeah,
bad.
it doesn't say, by the way. It says onto the other part. It says they have venom, they are incredibly strong, and they can climb through walls. And then she tries to climb through walls and she falls, and then she keeps reading the journal, and it says at the very end of the journal, it says in a special page
Yeah.
that the spider web
yeah,
thingy.
visions.
Yeah. See, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
See, Jared, you're dumb. We just proved it scientifically.
All right. Hey, you know what? You win some, you lose some. It's all right.
But yeah, his dialogue was so bad that at some points you can tell they completely changed what he was saying
Yeah.
because it wasn't just like it was out of sync. He was saying something completely different than what was coming out of his mouth.
I thought it was the dub that I was watching. I was like, holy moly, no?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I don't know
if you don't know what ADR means, automated dialogue replacement, which is a weird term because it's not automated; it's manually inserted. But
It's when they call, bring
it's
him
where
in
they
to
go
read
into a studio after and re-record their lines because they're bad writers and they needed to change the dialogue.
Or sometimes
That's not always the case.
Or if the dialogue wasn't clear on set, you go back and redo
if there's
your lines.
background noise that they didn't notice at the time of filming, and they need to
It's really funny because you'll see it a lot when if you're watching something, especially with poorer quality production on it, when they're doing like a back and forth shot, and if somebody who's the one that's facing away from the camera
is doing the talking,
quality of their audio sounds very different than when you have them facing, or than the person who is facing the camera that you're picking up, because they ADR'd.
It's not always used to cover up for bad writing, but it frequently is. Like my video on Rings of Power pointed out, they used ADR in Rings of Power all the time to hold the audience's hand. They're like, we're afraid the audience is too stupid, so they would add in dialogue when the character's mouth wasn't on screen, adding details. Right when the scene, I go over the scene where she's going over the map of Mordor.
Oh yeah,
there's so much ADR in that scene because they think the audience is retarded.
And they do a lot of that in this movie too, because again, I think a lot of his lines were things while he was off screen that they were putting in there, and they did a lot of
But they did a lot when he was on screen too, and it didn't match up.
But they also did a lot of weird hand holding with the exposition from the characters that almost felt like the exposition itself could have been okay, like them talking about something could have been okay, but then was just so poorly done, so poorly written that it was just so nonsensical.
They vomited description in the entire movie.
I think the most egregious example of hand holding is also just bad filmmaking, in that the movie opens with showing you what the mom was doing, and then midway through the movie you get to see the entire sequence again with the main character seeing that in a vision. And it's because they didn't trust you to put the pieces together. But it would have worked so much better if the opening sequence wasn't in the movie, because it messes up the storytelling. The audience is watching a character who hates her mother, but the audience likes her mother. So the audience doesn't understand why this character is such, for lack of a better word, the character's a bitch for the first half of the movie.
I think she's acoustic.
By the way, there's some DNA of this that came from that Ambulance movie by Michael Bay.
Yeah.
She's acoustic.
She acts acoustic, bro. The little children comes and brings her.
Everyone knows,
and she's like, "What do I do with it? Did I throw it away?"
Look,
what do I do with
I
it?
am completely sympathetic with a character who doesn't know what to do with like birthday cards that they get from their grandmother, and not knowing how long you should hold on to it before you throw it in the garbage, because what do you do with cards once you get them, okay? But you do that after you take the card from the little kid whose mom is in the hospital, almost at the point of death, okay? You take the paper and then you have a conversation. It would have been really endearing to have her, like, afterwards say, hey, how long do I have to wait before I can just throw this away? Like, what do I do with this? That would have been relatable, but they have her say, look at the girl and say, I don't want your stupid paper. And then have the guy have the conversation in front of the girl. Just take the stupid paper.
Yeah. See, this is the second time there's been a movie where there's a paramedic who is obviously in a very public facing job, taking care of people, trying to help heal people,
who doesn't know how people
work, not okay with working with people, and because that Ambulance movie did the exact same thing with the exact same kind of character.
I haven't seen it, so
that they hinted at there, but then they didn't quite lean into it enough. But that's actually something, because that scene where she flashes back and sees all of what happened with her mom, I was like, I actually really like. I really wanted to like, because this is something
it was fine.
I'm like, hey, I like the message.
It worked well in that scene, but it didn't work in the movie because they'd already showed it to us. But think about if the audience doesn't have that information, and you start off with the movie thinking this is a character whose mom abandoned her, then you're on her side the entire time, and you get a plot twist in the middle where, oh wait, no, turns out she didn't abandon me, she was murdered. And that's why it's so idiotic when they show her the picture of her mom with the bad guy who's been trying to kill them the entire time, and she still can't put the pieces together that, hey, maybe he killed my mom. She goes to Peru and doesn't put the pieces together until it's showed to her in a vision. That would have been a good twist in the movie, to be looking through her mom's notes and then see a picture she hadn't noticed before or didn't realize was important, and you're like, wait, that's him with my mom. And then the audience realizes that for the first time, and you're like, and then you journey to Peru and find out, no, like
But you're actually using your brain.
it's
but
just
they did
basic. It's just basic, like story arcs, character. Like these writers are so incompetent.
Also, I
think-
just have to say that I love that part. Oh, sorry, Albeleo. I didn't realize. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Like, just go back real fast to a brief moment. So she's insufferable as an EMT because she hates people, she hates kids, but she grew up in a foster. But she grew up in a foster home, and she ultimately chose to be an EMT.
Yeah.
So, there's already a whole skip here. Like, she's already in a position of, I grew up to take care of people that I didn't have. So she saves parents.
Yeah.
So her receiving that thank you card from the kid should have been a deep emotional thing from the start. And then they have to, in the same movie, work backwards to make her unbearable, so that she can learn to accept and be a mother towards the daughters that she never truly cares for until the plot says, okay, now care.
Mark Clark, neither do we. But no, that's a wonderful point. And it's not that you can't have like a believable character that acts this way. I've had plenty of teachers that for some reason hate kids, and I'm like, why are you a teacher? Okay, but the problem is it needs to make sense logically, and like in her her character doesn't make sense.
What I think it comes from is it reminds me a little bit of one of the things that I think frustrated me with, I think, the way that they approach how to write Wish, is they assumed that everyone would get behind this idea, because there is a very popular motion towards the idea of hating your parents and being mad at your parents and whatever with a lot of people.
But the movie opens up showing the audience that her parents are good.
I'm just saying that, like, I think that's what the writers were counting on, and they were stupid to do so, because they not only tried to count on that is not enough of a thing to lean on, but also actively worked.
There was,
but it could have worked, though. It could have worked. The audience might have bought it.
You know,
there was literally one sentence that she said that could have make them understand, because she says, "Oh, this is troublesome," like something, because she has contraptions in the freaking jungle. It's just like, this is not gonna stop me or something like that. So it makes you feel like maybe they are trying to, but it's not clear, like you said.
Yeah.
And they were giving you, like you said, they were handheld. They were holding your hand the entire of the beginning. The first 5 minutes is literally just vomiting the plot. Literally, I'm looking at spiders. Oh, this spider is hard to look. And the other guy is like, oh,
the guy says the line, "I've been searching for these spiders my whole life," like 4 times.
And we don't get anything. Like, what is the deal with the villain besides the fact that?
Okay, but I'm gonna get to that in a second. But quickly, before we stop talking about the intro, just talking about handholding. Even when he betrays her and starts shooting people, the mom has the audacity to ask, "What are you doing?" He's shooting people. What do you think he's doing? He's told you, I've been looking for this spider my whole life 3 times already. What do you mean? What are you doing? Like, it's just like they constantly don't trust the audience, and so they have to do it through really poorly written dialogue. But I agree with your point. What is the villain? The villain says multiple times, "These girls, they're gonna stop everything I've built. They're gonna ruin all my plans, which is why I have to go and murder kids." Right? They're gonna stop it. They're gonna ruin everything I built. What did he build? What are his plans?
He's so rich,
what did you do?
He likes to go to operas.
Yeah, I wanted to say one last comment on the hand holding, because to me the analogy of like, oh, you hold somebody's hand and it's a nice, whatever, versus the awkward, like, okay, I'm holding your hand. It was such a awkward hand holding because it was so poorly written. Like,
no, never mind the poorly written. The acting as well. She was like the acting is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Literally, like
I thought the actors did the best they could with the dialogue that they were given.
There were literal lines
obviously.
where you could see them sigh. They were like,
The-
I have to go down
I've
to the
seen better
Tashi
acting
station to
in
pick up
Power
power converters.
the hacker
You know, like
lady, one time when you cut back from the villain being like, I pay you too much to be not doing this. She almost looks like she's like,
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
Like, yeah.
that'll make
Oh,
it
I did
work.
not get her character at all. Like,
Oh,
seriously,
man.
like, she's like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm super smart. But then she's like, oh, I know that this is wrong, but, like, it didn't
Yeah.
show any development for her or anything like that. And half the time she's just like, oh, I can't find him. Oh, I found him. You know, it's like, yeah, that was
Yeah,
dumb.
that's all she
Here's
does.
something else.
you cut back to that's the same plot point over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That's all that ever is.
Here's another thing that I love too, though, and I have to admit the part where she went back and found out about her mom and like why she went to Peru. That part I really liked in the story. I was like, okay, you know what? That's something that she finds out that she goes back for her, right? Trying to save
even
her.
though pacing wise it makes no sense. It
know,
it
but-
wasn't bad.
But here's the thing: the
can get
best
to that
part
later.
about that is that she literally goes to Peru for a week, leaves these guys for a week, right? And how does she find this place? She takes a bus, and then she wanders around in the woods for like 5 minutes looking at a journal,
Is this the same tree?
and then she stumbles upon this waterfall, and she's like, "Oh, look, that's the same waterfall." What?
No, she
Like,
stumbles across something that's the exact same thing from her picture that looks no different 24 years later.
Yeah.
Exactly. The tree is exactly the same
Oh,
as it
There's-
was.
There's
So
literally
dumb.
it's a fallen branch that hasn't moved in 30
Yeah.
years.
yeah. So I was
crazy.
like, "What is going on here?" That was
And
ridiculous.
then the
Then
guy
the-
just pops up and said, "I knew you'd be back. I've
Right.
been waiting for you for
the
30 years."
mystical, magical guy. Yeah.
He's just in a blazer
Yeah, it was
in the middle of the
modern
jungle.
clothes now.
in the middle of the jungle.
It was.
I
so
do actually
weird.
hold on. I actually do have another
Yeah.
issue because there's two things. Just because I can't stop getting back to the intro.
It's so
There's
it's
two
so
things that I
wild.
noticed, and I
He's the
wanted
best
to-
intro.
I wanted to know one what other people had to think about the 3D spider applied to the outside of the jar
Yeah.
because I thought that was terribly done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I noticed it, but yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so
they
like
did it
when
in
she's
Peru.
like, "Look, I found the spider," and I was like, "There's no way they layered it in. It looks like it looks like a 3D model. It just adhered to the outside of a flat surface."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
second, did
It's like
anybody
popping
else
out of the glass.
did anybody else think, weird, super spider person is able to pick up this pregnant woman and hauls ass back to the cave, and she pops a baby out. Why did
that's-
he not stop Ezekiel?
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Because they cared
Before
about her.
before Ezekiel had but there were like 10 of them. It wasn't
Right.
just him.
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. They
And
should've
there
stopped.
were-
I think that you
and there were
almost
And this
got
was
a nod
before
spiders.
Ezekiel had powers.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you
There
get
were-
almost a nod towards that answer by him saying like, "Oh, we just really wanted to make sure you were safe or whatever." You're right. There were more of them, and they should have still been able to do it. But you almost get them answering that.
Where have you
but also,
where have
aren't
you
these
been? I've
arguments-
been standing here for 30 years hoping you'd come back to this spot.
Yeah, but
Yeah, does he just hang out there all day?
I mean, he's
In
in
a
the future,
blazer.
but yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. All right. Okay.
Oh,
I'll give him that.
Yeah, it still
Yeah.
does.
He connected via his spider powers. Okay.
Oh, but
I
I'll
love
tell you,
to-
to your
I was
point as
being
well, like,
unfair.
But why
He's
didn't
standing in
she
this
see it
one
coming?
spot
Right?
for
That's what
30
I mean. It
years?
doesn't
How
make
are
sense.
you not sweaty? Old Spice.
Yeah. I also love that he knows exactly what her powers are, right? Because
He saw
knows
the
that
future,
He
I
doesn't have
guess.
the super strength, and she can just see the future and apparently be in multiple places at different
No.
times, which we'll get to.
Okay, what's more unbelievable than that though is the fact that the villain has dreams of these 3 girls.
Yeah.
And somehow the techie that he's working for has created dream accurate 3D renders of their
Right.
faces from like from his dreams, and then
Right.
de-ages them so that they know what they look like in current day.
Not only that, but
I know they tried to
unmasks them, de-ages them, and unmasks them.
They weren't wearing masks. They were clear goggles. You could see every one of their faces.
They were masks like a domino mask ever is, which is not much of anyone, but it's technically there.
Yep.
Yeah, they were
The only
wearing
thing
like.
that's like, okay,
this kind of
they
mask.
tried to kind of answer this.
Well, we're
Where's the
glad
line?
Albeleo's here too. So
Why
go on.
did he see a vision of them killing him that way when that's not how he dies?
I don't know.
Because Adam Webb was a part of it, and she
Something
changed the
about that?
future. So
Maybe he doesn't die in this movie.
I was thinking that too, actually.
Because they had to
Not
cut
that I
the
know
entire
that,
sequence
but-
at the end.
Gosh, I don't know.
They had to cut the entire sequence at the end because they didn't have the rights, I guess, to spiderwebs or something. And so they had to reshoot the entire thing. That's what Dakota Johnson means when she says, had to record things in front of a blue screen because the entirety of the final, sequence is in complete blue screen. But yeah, we will get to that later. Holy moly.
So,
wow.
Well,
Yeah,
also,
someone remember the
And
taxi? Someone
military
remembers the
grade
taxi?
fireworks.
Sorry, what about the fireworks?
Yeah, we'll get to those and the military grade fireworks.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What about the taxi then?
Oh, remember the taxi that, first of all, she steals the taxi right from the guy.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's not going to report the taxi to the police in New York and whatever. She goes to her apartment and, removes the plating from the car and
Yeah.
leaves
That makes
it
it
right
less
there in the
risk.
freaking side. Yeah, it leaves
Yeah.
down there. Okay, whatever. Then she goes back with the taxi and does a lot of things with the taxi.
Taxis have GPSs in them.
Yeah.
Maybe back then, no. But I don't
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah,
It's a period
but,
piece.
yeah.
No, you're right. Okay.
Remember,
I was being unfair.
Never mind that. It doesn't make sense that she removed the plating. Because the
2003.
taxi, because the taxi has the number of the taxi on the sides of the door, so it doesn't matter. They
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
recognize this is the taxi that got stolen.
Yeah.
Never mind that. She uses the taxi like 5 times. She uses the taxi in the entire
know.
movie. She goes to the airport on that taxi.
She goes to the
in
airport.
the taxi. Then she goes to Peru and comes back a week later in
And it's
the
still
same
there.
taxi,
Yep.
and then goes
Yeah.
to Ben's house in the
Not
same
only
taxi.
that-
Goes through Manhattan's bridge, probably.
Yeah. Not only that, but there was an APB with her description on it, so I doubt that she could
Yeah.
get a
Yeah,
a-
how
through the
did
airport,
she,
right?
How did she went? Is post 9
Yep.
thingy and PSA and all of those things. How
Uh-huh.
did she went through and went to Peru?
Yeah.
Maybe to Mexico would have made more sense, but to Peru.
Papers, Mexican. Papers.
my favorite part too with that is with when they first drop off the girls, right, and then the girls go wander off. My favorite
woods.
part about when the girls wander off is literally, first off, they leave a fire going.
yeah,
I was so
thought about
pissed.
Fire,
that.
and they're like, "Yeah, we don't need this." So they just leave this fire going.
Okay, but that okay.
And then
But
they trick
before
through
you
the
can't
door.
move on from that. You can't move on from that. I'm sorry. This movie knows nothing about wilderness survival. They
No,
leave
no,
a
it
fire going, and when she's wandering through the woods, they show her looking at a map in Peru. They show her looking at a map and then looking around and traveling. That's not how maps work. You
Yeah.
need a compass, and you need to be able to gauge the distance between landmarks and like talk to like one person who's ever done anything outside
Yeah.
of their California studio apartment. Like talk you cannot be a scriptwriter if you don't know how the real world works.
Yeah.
And
The
that's
best part
why
about that-
that's why movies suck nowadays. We used to
Yeah.
have stuff that was written. We used to have like Lord of the Rings and The Wheel of Time. They're written my favorite series. They're written by people who went out and fought in World War II and experienced actual real turmoil. And that's why their books are gorgeous. They're amazing pieces of literature because they're real. And now you have California soy latte they thems who have never left their Hollywood bubbles, who think they know how the real world works, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You forgot the kombucha.
Oh, kombucha. Sorry.
And the avocado toast.
Yeah, and then later too, she's literally tracking the girls at night, like to find where they go. And you're like, really? Like, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. A lot of it just did not make sense.
And
You were talking about the scene.
When they left the campsite, she's like, "Okay, I'll be back in 3 hours." She comes back, and it's so much darker. I'm like, that was way more than 3 hours time difference in the light there. Like that was pretty.
I'll be back in 3 hours. 5 hours
and
later.
Where the heck this woods was? They just happened.
New Jersey.
I don't know. I guess New York's
New Jersey.
around there, but it was just the weirdest. We were in the middle of the city, and now we're in woods. Like,
And
not even nod towards the fact that they maybe drove 4 hours or an hour and a half to get out of the city. You know.
And when the girls go through the woods, they've been walking for so long they think they're lost, and yet she manages to track them on foot the same time, and somehow make better time than driving there in a car.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, I was like,
because she does it twice, and she gets there faster on foot, which brings up Jacob Ironside's point of there are 2 moments where the solution to the problem is hit a guy with a car. And he's fine. He's fine with a speeding car, but gets done in by gravity, which is a little bit slower than a speeding car.
an ambulance that was falling in velocity. Terminal velocity.
The ambulance moment. Oh my goodness, we were laughing so hard.
So hard.
Oh,
That
so
was the
funny.
moment. The entire audience, which was like 25 people, just burst out laughing.
Yeah,
And,
because
and it was
how
supposed to be like a super serious moment, like, yeah, this is awesome. No, it was
how
ridiculous.
did that scene ever came to be, right? Like, well, whatever. After the intro, the first line she says is mansplaining or whatever that she's saying, like, to Ben. Ben is doing CPR, and he's like, what are you even doing, Ben?
Oh my gosh.
He's doing CPR. He's saving a human being. The mother that she acoustically dismissed the kid, right? And then he's like, "Oh, do you want me to go drive?" No, you don't want to see Ben driving. And it's like, what? Why?
And the CPR, like, she taught him CPR, but there was so many of the very
All she does
gun setups of like, I'm going to teach you this so you can do it on me later, and they very clunkily one time, and then they know exactly, and it's the exact scenario for when she needs to be saved. Like,
I'll have to go back and watch it. But I was too busy laughing. But I think you're right. I think the only reason the ambulance hits him is because he jumps up. Like, it wouldn't have hit him.
He's not jumping
if he
to
ducked.
the ambulance. He's jumping to get the car, but that's
He was on the car, and then she comes in with the audience, and he ambulance, and he jumps, intercepts it.
From one car to another.
Mix it. Pull up your version.
Yeah, I had it. I had it in my mind. No, he stops, he jumps and stops the taxi. So he's running in front of the taxi, menacingly saying, and they are like, yeah, you're kind of right. Yeah, you're kind of right, because he is in the top of the building, and they're like, what the heck is that? And they're like, and then he jumps, on the street, and he's like walking menacingly to the taxi.
He's on the overhang of the theater when they look up. And then he goes to jump, and she crashes through the concrete wall of a parking lot and intercepts him midair.
And 2 minutes later, gets confused why the car doesn't work anymore.
No, she actually no. She actually has a persecution after that. She tells the girls to get into the vehicle.
Yeah, it works for a little bit, and then stops working, and she gets
confused. They do the defibrillator thing into the roof.
Yeah. I thought that was another smart part. I liked that.
I liked the defibrillator too.
It was a good concept. It was
And
There's just
after
so
that,
much
the
fun
car
happening in
broke
one
down,
movie,
which
like,
I
behind
guess
it,
would
but,
make more sense. But yeah,
yeah, it was.
but yeah,
just-
whew. Yeah, it was a piece of beauty. I mean, not really because it was a bait and switch, right? It was a bait and switch. People got baited to watching this movie because
This movie
of
was
the,
I don't
the
think anyone.
spiders and
I
the.
don't know. I think
I don't
it
think
was
anyone
the
was
kind of movie
surprised.
I thought it was going to be from the.
No. But I was expecting to be worse, and I expecting
Oh.
that to at least have the girls in the suits, at
Yeah.
least. And
Oh
they
yeah.
have a
Oh no.
green vision.
They put those suits all. Oh, you're right. It was a bait and switch. They put those suits all over the trailers,
Yep.
and then you realize from the very first first 10 minutes from the dream sequence. Oh, none of that's in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially, it's really weird too because the one actress, the one that plays the Julia Carpenter, that's not Carpenter anymore, the
Conwell.
smart girl with the glasses.
The Euphoria chick.
Yeah, she specifically said that I wanted to do this movie and I made them do a scene with me hanging upside down because that's such an iconic Spider-Woman thing to do or whatever, with the hair down and being upside down or whatever. And that wasn't in the movie.
It
Wasn't in the movie.
It was only in that first vision, but it was
Yeah.
that was it.
No, but there's
But
another
it's
one
not
where
even-
it comes down upside down on the bridge in the middle of traffic. That's the one from the trailer.
Oh, really?
And there was one from that scene, but it showed her she was upside down, but the camera was upside down too. It's like what?
And
I'm
then
watching-
She's like,
I
I'm
talked
watching-
about promote that moment when it wasn't in the film.
Yeah, I'm watching the ambulance scene right now, and the Spider-Man is on the building, and they turn the traffic lights green. Everyone get stopped, but they don't crash. He jumps down. He's standing on top of the roof of their the hood of their car.
Because
They're
he's going to
looking-
throw a grenade underneath.
They're
right?
looking at him through the windshield, and he's got a grenade. He pulls the pin, and you see Madam Web driving taxi. I'm going to go through a wall. Oh yeah, it's not going to hit him. He jumps up. The ambulance is going over because think about it. She would hit the car
Yeah.
and kill the girls. She's
Oh,
flying
God.
through the air.
That was funny.
If
And
he's on top of
he's-
the car, they could have had the ambulance just clip him off. The top
I'm
of
no
the
no
car.
no. I'm looking at it right now, David.
Well,
I know you're looking at it. I'm
He
saying they could have
jumps
blocked
up.
it that way. That's
He
retarded
jumps
if they did it.
up to get hit.
That's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I think in the moment, I think I was assuming he was going to jump up to like get onto the top of the car or get to
No.
throw the thing or something.
She just got out of the.
It's a
Yeah.
Prometheus. It's a Prometheus moment. So let's see.
I think it's worse
he's-
than Prometheus.
he's standing
At
on the
least-
car.
At least Charlize tried to get away from whatever was coming after her.
Yeah,
This one,
way
he's
worse.
just like, give it to me.
Okay, look.
No.
So he's right here. Okay, ambulance comes in this way. Obviously, a perspective. Flip it around. Okay, but I've looked at it. I've mapped it out. Car's right here. He's standing right here. Girls are in the car. She comes through here. Boom, and he turns and jumps this way and gets hit when he could have just stayed there and nothing would have happened.
Yeah.
And for a
jump
man,
to the other
I'm sorry,
side, yeah.
but for a man with spider senses,
Yeah.
no.
Did they imply
Hold
that
on,
he has
hold on.
spider senses?
I was about
Does,
to-
does
you
he
didn't know it was
even
coming- he was
have
gonna
spider
tell me something
senses?
else, but-
The man gets railed by a car twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man did too, though.
How? Okay. What a crime,
I'm willing to
though.
count
There
that
was
as
never
law.
a moment. There was never a moment in this movie where no one said, "I bet you didn't see that coming." What? Talk about missed opportunities. And coming out of this
But
too,
he was implied that he didn't saw the future, just the one vision, I guess.
I already complained about this to David and Jared. Have you guys seen The Minority Report? There's a
very long time.
fantastic sequence in there where he goes and steals the precog girl who can see the future, and he's trying to escape, and they're in a mall, and they have to weave in and out through traffic with her seeing into the future to avoid all of the baddies. And
Ooh,
it
we're
is
getting into fireworks. Okay.
it's a fantastic sequence where she's like, it's stop and go, wait here, wait 5 seconds. Okay, walk to the left, pick up an umbrella, do this. And they're weaving in and out. It's this intricate dance of the girl seeing into the future and weaving through a crowd in a mall to avoid detection. And it is phenomenal. It is a wonderful sequence. And then they opens the umbrella at the end and it's raining outside, so they can't see them as they get away. Like, it's wonderful. There was nothing even close to that in this movie. The closest it gets is at the very end with the fireworks, where it's ADHD editing and just flashing, like you can't even understand what's going on. And she's like, "No, wait, stop!" But it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like there could have been a good movie here.
Yeah. The problem with it is they kept showing all of those visions. I'm like, we get it. She can see the future. You don't have to show them every time. Just show that she has an understanding of it. And they could have done that same thing. No, watch. Well, stop. Go around this box. Whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. The movie's not even woke. Like, the concept of replacing Spider-Man with a bunch of Spider-Women. Like, there's connotations there.
Concept, maybe, sure.
But the movie doesn't, like, the only part that gets a little bit woke is when they talk about the dad who gets deported, and you're like, ugh, whatever. Like,
that's not even.
That's
no,
not
it's fine. That happens.
something that would
Exactly.
be defined
We're
as
not
woke.
sitting there saying men are
just
stupid. The
circumstance.
closest you also
Yeah.
get, the other one is like what Angry Mexa was saying before, where she kind of is like, no, you keep doing your thing. I'm going to drive. And I feel like that's stretching a little bit, because that's not even that bad. That's not even her saying, like, you can't drive. I'm a woman. I can drive. She wasn't trying to do that. There wasn't. I'm gonna be. There wasn't.
But we've
that.
gotten.
It was just a bad movie. There wasn't.
We've gotten to the.
that,
We've gotten to the point in Hollywood where Hollywood realizes that there's a problem, and so they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't push woke onto movies so much. Let's try and dial it back and just make regular movies. And they can't do it because they've filled their companies with diversity hires.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this movie was made on purpose bad and purposely bad. They tried to do a Morbius, like they tried to do a Morbius and tried to do a Cold. That's why they.
Morbius.
Yeah, exactly. They tried to do Morbius. They hired the worst writers ever in the history of movies ever.
David, remember how I got confused and I thought that that Dracula Untold was part of the Sony superhero universe?
Right.
Same writer.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same writer of
he did,
Power Rangers.
He did
as
Power
well.
Rangers, Dracula Untold.
Power Rangers 2 was supposed to be another franchise. They wanted like 5 movies in that. Which I heard.
I will say that was one of their best movies that I've heard of. The ones of theirs that they've written that I've heard of or seen. That's the one that I actually really enjoyed, and it wasn't amazing, but I actually enjoyed it. Power Rangers, the new Power Rangers,
so,
like 17 or whatever it was.
So the writer,
Gods of Egypt is the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Matt
Gods of Egypt, and
Sazama.
also like what was the
He
Battle
did
World,
Dracula Untold,
World,
The Last Witch Hunter,
Uh-huh.
Gods of Egypt, Power Rangers. He is apparently the guy behind Lost in Space on Netflix.
I was going to say I heard good things about
that's
Lost in
Burke.
Space.
That's Burke Sharpless. So he's there. It's a team. Matt
Matt Chasman or
I'm looking at Matt's page right here.
Yeah, it's Matt and Burke. They have the same exact. They've written the same movies.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I see it.
But then the one other one, I think this other lady, the SJ.
That's the director. She also kind of wrote as well.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
But that's her only directing.
That's the one.
Well, getting back to the ridiculous fireworks scene, one there, it was really confusing where they are.
I haven't seen Dracula Untold actually, but
yeah, Dracula Untold was pretty good.
I mean, either.
I like
I don't know why they scrapped
it's not
reboot with Mummy.
that good, but it is good for me.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
But
Fireworks.
So the fireworks. Why are there a whole bunch of fireworks in this building?
Coca-Cola in the Pepsi-Cola building? Why is the Pepsi-Cola building filled with military-grade fireworks?
Because they make
They
magic.
just happen to use a sign on top of that building for a billboard.
Let's go back to that first point. It's a Pepsi warehouse. It's loaded with military-grade fireworks, and they didn't clear it out.
Yeah.
After the fire, they didn't clear it out. Now, most of those fireworks would have been drenched with gallons of water. They're not going to work anymore.
Well,
That's why
fireworks,
they're military.
fireworks can work underwater.
Yeah, not okay. The
there is-
wicks, David, wicks can, but if you soak the firework, like
Well,
it's not
yeah.
it's not going to work anymore.
That's
Powder
probably
itself. Yeah.
Wicks can
They
still
have-
burn underwater. Yes.
They have fireworks because they are packing magic in those bottles, baby. They're packing fireworks.
But talking about
fire.
Pepsi, how many just blatant product placements did you guys see
A
in this
lot.
movie?
there were
like
so many.
5.
I was wondering
I was
the
top of mind.
bit where there was a ton of Pepsi. The bit where Ben hands her a Pepsi when she shows up to the thing.
CGI.
I was like, it was a really weird looking scene.
The
What it
can
reminded
is
me of, though,
CGI.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
There are scenes where you
the-
can see the tracking slipping on the can.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
The bit that it reminds me of though is it reminds me of that commercial that everyone like exploded on Kylie Jenner for or whatever, where she like breaks up a thing. She's like, here's a Pepsi, because it's very like, have a Pepsi. Oh,
It was the
oh my
making fun
God.
of the putting the flower in the gun moment at the protest, right?
Oh
Uh-huh,
yeah,
yeah.
because Kylie
Yeah.
Jenner with a Pepsi was going to stop an Antifa riot.
That's the thing is, yeah, people were freaking out about how dumb that was, and it's like, are you guys trying to parody that right now for some reason? Because that was. It's like the misunderstanding the Morbius memes where where it's like, oh, everybody's talking about Morbius, let's put it back in theaters, and it's like, no, we're making fun of you.
Also,
Pepsi was like, people liked that.
yeah, there was another moment with with the Mountain Dew can, which David's going to push back on, but I have evidence. The Mountain Dew can in the reverse shot. They between the shot and reverse shot, they twisted the can so that the logo was also always facing the camera. And David's gonna say, yeah, but there's 2 logos on every can. Yes, but I was looking at the top with the tab. You could see the tab had been twisted between each scene, between the 2 shots, so the logo was always facing out, so you could see the Mountain Dew.
Which that one I get. That's that is their advertising. I bet you that happens in so many other movies that we're not paying attention to it too. So it doesn't
But it was
bother
like
me. It's funny to
blatant.
notice. Yeah,
It was
it's
pretty
funny
obvious.
to notice, but
I think we gotta address. I think we gotta address what Albeleo is talking about with these military grade fireworks, though.
that are capable of blowing holes in walls.
Not
I-
doing
look,
any damage
okay.
to anybody else that's in the vicinity.
Look.
Like, if that's gonna blow a hole in the wall and they're like 15 feet away, that's gonna do serious damage to them as well.
I have done some really, really stupid things with fireworks. Okay, I am not
I've been
condoning.
there for some of those.
I'm not condoning any of it. Fireworks are not built to do damage. They are built to be pretty. Okay, they have explosive force to make the projectile large, right? The display. You can modify them to turn them into missiles, but it's not like a nuclear ordinance.
No, I guess they get really hot and that's it, right?
I've done some really, really dumb stuff with artillery, okay? And I know that people have blown their hands off with fireworks. I know that it happens, but I've come pretty
they've blown.
close. I have had an artillery shell explode like 3 feet from me. They are not that dangerous.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think we can say that. They're pretty dangerous.
They don't hold it in your hand, okay? But they don't blow through brick walls.
I think that's the point we need to make as clear as possible.
They are dangerous,
They are
okay?
dangerous.
yeah,
They're very
There-
dangerous,
there's-
but not that. Not
there's
as
an
dangerous
important
as depicted in the movie.
clarification to-
And
There's a
if
very
it
clear
were that
difference
idea of
between
degree
Peter
damage,
Griffin's
it's
hand
like-
and
I am-
structural
This is a
integrity
comparative.
of a cement building.
I am
Yeah.
not condoning doing stupid things with fireworks. I am not telling you it's okay to drive down the freeway and shoot artillery out of your window at other cars. I am not saying to do that. That is bad.
And illegal.
Yes.
And funny.
And then at some point you just had to
You need
let
confirm or deny
natural
on that last
selection.
one.
You just had to let natural selection do it. If you blow I'm sorry, but if you blow your own hand with a firework, either the firework misfunction for some reason, you were lighting it up in your hand, but why didn't you put it in the ground? Like, it's basic knowledge that doesn't happen to real thinking human beings. That happens to morons. Nah, that probably happened to a good fella, but yeah.
She kind of gets shot in the side. She doesn't get shot in the stomach. It's like a.
But they cannot even
But
show
it
that
was
much
close.
because of the
Bullet wound is
PG-13.
in her sternum.
That was a weird
Yeah.
angle. The way that they did it,
No, so,
they
like,
very
if you have
quickly
it
like
pulled up,
indicated, okay, it
seriously,
didn't actually
like,
hit the baby, but like, yeah, sorry.
No,
yeah,
and that had to be the most perfect round ever made to not like blow up or like leaves a trace of something inside the womb or the womb came she bleeding out like there's a lot of things that this movie has not a single idea about medicine. All she does is CPR. All she ever does in the movie is CPR. Even when the guy is bleeding to death, she is
that was the
doing
other thing
CPR.
that I wanted to point out. There was a bit where it was one of the times where she was doing CPR and she was doing the flashes just
and
before
getting
her
visions,
captain
and she's
right?
just
and she kept stopping. She kept stopping and then starting and stopping. And then she
and,
tells
and
us,
what's
like,
the
never stop.
first
You
thing?
do
What's
not
the
stop.
first thing she teaches to the girls? Never
Don't
stop.
stop. Yeah,
It's
if
like-
you're
But
tired.
then the other thing that's even worse about it is because chest compressions like that, they do not resuscitate you. They are to keep you alive until they can resuscitate you.
Yes.
And what happens once she walks away from that encounter where she's doing chest compressions on that guy? He sits up and he's like, "Oh, hey, thanks, lady." And she's like,
Yep.
"You're
Well,
okay."
she
And
stops.
like,
She
"Well,
straight up stops and says, "Just
What?
get up. You're fine."
Yeah,
Like,
you're fine. Yeah, he says
Yeah.
you're fine.
Like, what were
now.
you doing CPR on this dude for?
I've
True.
had my camera off because I'm doing some other things here for a second, but like I need to be on screen to be able to say like, what is going on with that? You were doing CPR on this guy so badly because you kept starting and stopping because of your vision, but still like you were all over the place with that. And then
I
he
will
just
say,
gets
though,
up and is
the-
fine. Because
the
if you're
ins-
doing it right, you're cracking ribs. And he
the
will not be
instructional
doing that.
scene when she was teaching the girls, I was actually impressed. Like
Yeah.
that is how you do CPR, and most
Yeah.
movies get that wrong. And I was prepared to just start cringing, and I was like, "No, this is good. This is good."
And the actresses
But he
actually
didn't
even
do it.
performed it relatively well. But again, it was just such that ham-fisted, like, this is what's going to happen later in the movie. That
Yeah.
the scene itself felt
When
a
they're
little
doing it
awkward,
in
but then
real
when it came
life,
back
it's
around-
bad, right? But when
Yeah.
the education
Yeah,
scene
but
was
paramedics-
good.
Paramedics do way more than just CPR. Like with the guy the black guy that was bleeding out,
Yeah,
and he's
but-
like, "You are giving CPR to why are you giving CPR to this guy?" I mean, maybe if you are desperate, like trying to revive, but it doesn't
Well,
work
actually-
like that.
the priorities were totally wrong. You need to stop bleeding before you administer CPR. If you're performing CPR on someone who's bleeding out, they're going to die, which is arguably what
they were
happened,
so-
and she's kind of responsible for his death.
Shock in
Assuming
cardiac
that's the way
arrest
you're
or
looking at it, but
something.
yeah.
You check,
We're on
you
the
check, you
subject
check,
of
you check for bleeding, and you check to make sure they're breathing, and then in CPR. Yeah.
Yes.
While we're on the subject of really, really stupid procedures, how about that car? How about that car that they didn't counterweight?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
then it just
God,
happens,
yeah.
it miraculously slides
when she
forward
falls in,
several
yeah.
feet so that it can go over the edge.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
partner is
they
going to
took a
cut
guy-
you. You're going to fall. Thud.
took a
All
guy
right, get out of
off-
the car.
They took
So
a guy
all of the
out of the
weight-
front seat.
All of
Which-
the weight
yeah.
in the front is now out, and then she's the one that tips it.
Yeah. I
that
got
was a
that.
little
too.
nonsensical. That was.
Also, the
it
car
was dumb that
slides
they
like
didn't
3
do
feet.
stuff to secure it better, because they need to have at least been aware of that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And they better than switch. They better than switch that scene too, because they changed that in the scene that they say this is the first scene ever, Madam Web, and everyone made it viral because it was so badly edited. But in the actual scene, it does not edit it, and there are three different shots. First, when she gets into the car, then when Ben is coming from behind, where you see basically her ass, and then it switches to the other side, so it makes way more sense when they make that scene. It doesn't look like a shot, so it was a bait and switch. That's what I mean, that it's a bait and switch, and it was a scam. This movie is a scam because it not only tricked people that went to watch the Spider Girls with the suits and everything, an actual superhero movie, but it's also a scam for the people that wanted to watch a movie that was garbage, because this movie was awfully
It
boring.
was just
in the
boring
moments.
most of the
It was
time.
just
Yeah.
bland. Yeah, it was just so bland. You know.
Because in these moments where it was going to be funny because of the editing, it wasn't because the editing was just slow. It's just
There-
like lack of.
There was one joke that I laughed at legitimately, though. It was when
Ben?
when they steal the taxi cab,
Oh, yeah.
and she's like, "Okay, you guys can go." Wait, no, you can't go, because you're the only one that's. But this still isn't a kidnapping. And like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
There was some almost good stuff sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
But it was just strung together with such a mishmash of bizarre, dumb things.
There is one
Oh.
detail. There's one little detail I liked about this movie, and it's frustrated me with almost every Spider-Man movie since,
Mhm.
or like prior to this. The villain walks around barefoot.
Yeah.
In if anyone else remembers from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, when Maguire is climbing up the
Yeah.
wall, he has the fine hairs that allow him to adhere to the walls.
Right.
That's how he climbs. Something that drove me absolutely insane with the Spider-Verse movies is that Miles Morales is walking along the side of a
On his
building in Jordans.
Yeah.
This guy's walking around in bare feet. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
it
that
was
makes
good.
sense.
was
That's
good.
how it's supposed to work. That's it. That's the only thing I like.
He was the only good part of the movie. He was the best part of the movie. Like he was so cool in the obviously there were some dumb scenes, but in the other scenes where he was moving around, he was you're muted. You're muted, Bearded.
You're bearded.
But what
I
was
was
his
just adding,
plan?
like, except for his bad dialogue, but yeah.
Exactly. The effects of the
But what did he want? What was his motivation to live? We get that he wanted to live.
Yeah, I know, but who cares? Like,
I love. He goes to the opera to pick up chicks. Like, do people
And
go
this
to the
bitch,
opera
She was an
alone?
NSA.
Is
came
there,
around,
like, is
it
there a
said She
vast?
was an NSA chick.
Okay,
Sure,
okay,
He was
but
targeting her.
is there like is that a thing? Do girls just go to the opera alone?
nobody goes. Nobody's like.
Nobody goes to the opera. Period.
No man is.
Alone.
Men only go to the opera because it's a date and they have to because their woman is there.
I mean, okay. To
probably,
be honest,
but-
I have gone to the opera alone, but because I used to study music and I was forced to go to the freaking opera from the class.
Uh-huh.
But
Right.
yeah,
I went to
nobody,
I went to the opera alone once, but it was for a girl who was in it.
See, there you go.
Me too.
Yeah.
True.
I'll even give. He seems like the kind of guy who could be into opera, but again, it's
Oh,
because
Mark
you
Clark.
know
Mark
nothing
Clark
about
goes
this
alone.
guy. Because Mrs. hates it. Gosh, it's just.
I mean, why just
He's
watch
picking
it?
up. He's hitting on old wealthy widows. He's a gold digger. That's everything he's built. He's built through gold digging.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though
Yeah,
he's super
yes,
powerful.
So,
Because,
This
yeah.
is going back a little bit, but have you guys seen the original Italian Job, the '69
Yes.
movie?
I've only seen the newish one.
Anytime there's like a car like teetering on an edge, I just think about the ending of that movie, which is hilarious.
So ridiculous. Yeah.
Their bus crashes and all the gold is in it, or the money is in it, and they're trying to get the money without
balance
the
it.
bus falling off.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
That's
so
that's
funny.
how the movie ends. It doesn't resolve itself.
No, well because it was illegal to show bad guys winning back then, so they had to make the ending ambiguous. Like, oh, do they get the money? Maybe, probably not. Like,
They cannot do.
Yeah.
So
Oh
while we're
my
at the
God.
opera, how about that NSA agent that has her credentials on her?
Yeah,
at the opera, and
Yeah.
credentials that don't ever get checked for like months after she mysteriously disappears.
Peers.
Like
And
no
all
one
you
checked.
need-
Hey, how come she's still logged into our systems?
Yeah.
Maybe the hacker
And-
created
yeah.
her own new account that she could get in. I don't know.
Yeah, well, speak of
Yeah,
that
back
hacker
to-
too. She's completely down with just murdering these teenagers, but
For money.
what? For money presumably, but like
For
Okay.
lots of money that I have
I
paid
mean-
you. Lots of money.
Oh, but until the end, he's like, "Oh, do it or else." But like literally, like on the last scene where she's like guiding him through the traffic or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, or do it, or I do what I did to those people, or I will poison you," and things like that, which is something that. By the way, why he killed the woman? Like he already got what he. Well, I mean that makes sense. So, never mind.
Yeah.
Yes, we are trying to bring logic into Madam Web. Thank you, Splice Stream. Check out. He's got a wonderful, wonderful channel.
Speaking of
I was gonna
logic,
say,
how
that's
about
our-
that venom
is
that
our
did
policy.
nothing?
The venom that paralyzes you that came up one time.
Don't let him
See,
touch
just
you.
to kill that woman.
I
Venom will kill you.
thought that's
Okay.
that's how she was gonna get paralyzed. Was with his paralyzing venom. Like
Yeah.
it goes halfway through her system, and
It,
then
it
she gets.
didn't really explain how she got paralyzed.
It never does.
Yeah,
She's in a wheelchair
the
now.
only thing was she got blind, which is also like stupid because she closed her eyes when she got hit by the meteorite or the firework.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the flaming piece of metal that was on fire underwater?
Underwater.
Oh, it was a metal. I thought it was
which-
a
It
piece
didn't even
of.
touch her eye. It touched
military
her
equipment.
nose.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
she was-
I
it was-
missed that. I didn't even notice that happening in the movie.
It was really quick.
Yeah.
I noticed
she
because
went
it's-
like this, and then she
But
came
we're
out
talking
blind.
about
I'm like,
fireworks
oh,
can
okay.
burn underwater. Okay, sure. You know, if it's shot from
Right.
fine. Weird, but fine.
But yeah, it
But
was.
she was going a little bit, yeah.
I thought she should have got the paralyzing venom would have been a good way for her to lose her legs. But
Well,
I
especially
thought
that
she
would have been
was
really
going to
poetic
like.
because it's also the venom that cured her from whatever it was that she was diagnosed
Right.
with that they found while she was in utero. And
Yeah,
like,
but that's different. The venom's
It saved
different
her
from the
life, but also-
poison. Yeah. Well. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's again, it's the sort
You're
of
right.
thing.
No,
that,
it
like,
is the
difference
same.
between a poison and a medicine is sometimes
Yeah.
the dosage. You know.
Yeah.
Magnesium burns in water. Yeah, but
Oh, you mean
David-
you mean the
True.
spider venom that instantaneously turned her into a superhero, but not instantaneously saved her mother?
Right.
Yeah.
Look,
Right.
Kinda killed their mother, actually.
her nose
No,
was her
I
Achilles
don't know.
heel. David pointed out that the neon light signs were still turned on in water. Under the water, after they'd broken apart into their individual letters, the neon lights were still glowing.
That's why she saw the S, which is the S on Pepsi. The mouth.
No,
I-
it's the S is for sucks.
I thought it was going to be for
don't dignify
Spider-Man.
this movie with that reference. Don't dignify that movie with that reference. But,
Yeah,
but the
but
other
the
thing,
end
I was
was
like,
for-
okay, I was ready for them to do more with it, and I'm glad they didn't do more. But at the same time, it's like, okay, yes, S for Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider whatever. S, yes, S, and SP. I'm like, I'm just waiting for like the I to be the next thing that like shows up, and then the one P to turn upside down and be a D, and you're like, oh my
Oh,
goodness.
oh man, that would have been great if they rearranged the Pepsi letters to sound. That would have been awesome. Are you kidding me? Can you do that? Okay.
Oh,
they just
man.
rearranged the
You're
Pepsi
still
sign to
missing
say
the
Mountain
E
Dew.
and the R. You'd have to have something that maybe like cuts out and
Well,
becomes the
it was
R and the
Pepsi Co, right? Like, what was the full sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was
Why the whole
Pepsi
cola?
Cola.
Oh
was
my
the full
gosh,
sign.
that would have been better than the I am Tom Riddle.
Yeah, the Voldemort, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
As
that
much
would
as
have
I
been
love that-
so
that
good.
series, that is kind of a dumb one.
That would have been so good. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, I remember that was a kid and I was like, bro, wait, this not makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did it in Spanish. Well, I read it in Spanish, so it makes way less sense in Spanish than
Well, that's actually that's actually a fascinating dilemma in translation. Yeah, I had took a translation class and we talked about that specific detail. We were like,
Yeah.
how do you go about? So in certain languages they had to change Voldemort's name so that not palindrome,
Anagram.
the
That's the word.
anagram would work out,
Anagram.
and they had to
Well,
change
no,
the
anagram
sentence.
is the same backwards and forward, huh?
Anagram.
No, that's
Ambigram is one that turns upside down.
Right.
Yeah, and the right way to do it is
Yeah.
just to put it in English and
Palindrome was the
explain
other
it in
one
the
I did.
language, and that's it. That's the right way to do it. There's no way to translate it. Just put it in English and explain it in the other language, and that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Madam Weeb.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got to talk about.
Yeah,
No, there's there were two more points that
When
I
she
was
goes back
thinking
to Peru,
A while longer on Madam Web.
yeah. And well, the thing about the you were right, Albeleo, that she becomes immediately, like she comes back to life immediately, and she gets cured by her disease, her muscular disease, I don't remember the muscular disease that they were talking about in the flashback. But yeah, she gets
Oh,
cured of that immediately by the spider he
And
bit.
multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was some sort of neurological something or
She
other.
was
Oh,
supposed
that's
to look
muscular.
like
It was some
Gollum, but she came out
muscular.
fine.
It was muscular or something. I remember. That's all I remember about
that's
it.
the sort of dumb stuff you kind of expect in these kinds of movies, and I can hand wave over that. That's fine.
Yeah, but they could have
it's
shown
fine.
like just a little bit more, like 5 minutes for the venom to actually get into the bloodstream of the baby, not into the bloodstream of the mom, because he kind of like, I guess, if he implanted it in the belly, that would have made more sense. But no, she bit by the spider bit her in the chest. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, presumably it took
Yeah,
longer
it bit
for.
her sternum.
Yeah.
yes, the sternum. Yeah,
We got to talk about the worst line in the whole movie, though, which is
with great power.
when you accept the responsibility, great power comes. I yelled at the screen. I was like, that is literally the opposite of what Spider-Man stands for.
Yeah, and do you see the Doctor Strange punch that he did, the push when
The
she
spirit
got
push,
Doctor
yeah.
Strange? Yeah, she got Doctor Strange, and then she gets the DMT trip, and then she sees her past or her future, and then she can actually hug her mom in the past. So she
Again,
can not only.
I wanted to like that. That was almost a good moment. If it had been,
I mean, I like that moment.
more
If it
competent
would
of a
have made
movie.
any sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But like
the other one that I to talk about her being just such an unlikable paramedic and unlikable person, because, and I think they wanted to have this like, oh, she's a tough, hardened girl. It's not like your usual girl. Was the like, oh, I don't want to go to the baby shower because they're gonna rope me inside. Oh no, you'll be outside grilling with us. And immediately she shows up and they're like, oh yeah, come on inside. And she's like, do you see what's happening? Like, yep, they're roping you, and you were right. It was such a weird like interaction. That is the one thing I will say is Ben was probably the best part of this movie to me.
Ben was great.
I think he actually did pretty darn well. He was cool. He was solid.
And he's the actor from Parks, right?
Parks and Rec.
He was in Parks and Rec. He was Ben Wyatt in Parks and Rec. I'm trying to remember what the actor's name is. Adam.
Oh, and there's Emma Roberts as well in the movie.
That was another thing. So they tried to characterize her as, she hates family. She hates her mom. She resents her for abandoning her. She doesn't like these kids or whatever. But then immediately after she sees these three girls, she like immediately takes them under her wing. Like there's not any hesitation. There's not any like, oh, why do I have to deal with these teenagers? It's just it's such an immediate flip. That like,
I don't know.
Why have that characterization in the first place?
I disagree with that because she was literally like, she's like, oh no, I got to get you back to your parents, and then your parents can deal with you.
Right? She said that, but then they're like, well, we can't go back. And they're like, well, I guess you can hang out with me. There wasn't.
But once she describes that, once she learns all of their tragic backstories that their parents abandoned them, like her parent abandoned her, she thinks. Then she's like, okay, I guess we can.
That scene was so
telegraphed. It was clunky,
like,
but I think it was there. I don't know.
I think there was enough growth there,
Yeah. The other bit that I thought was, sorry, my total jump was, I was remembering Uncle Ben, and the fact that like, the scene where Mary Parker is I think my water broke or whatever. Classic dumb way that that's portrayed. But then when Cassie shows up to the house, peeks in through the window, sees a little puddle of water, and knows, there. Like,
no, she's.
I love that they didn't like throw down a towel before they left.
It looked like they took it after she was like, "Hey, I think my water broke," and then like they cut to something else and they cut back to be
because it's not water.
Right? Yeah, I guess we're gonna go like. There's been a minute.
It's amniotic fluid.
Oh, I thought it was water. Why did you call it water? Why did you call it?
Because it sounds better than amniotic fluid. Okay, but I wasn't done talking about my thing. Okay, the great power, great responsibility line. Look, it's beautiful in Spider-Man because he never asked for his powers. They were thrust upon him, and his aunt teaches him that you don't have a choice anymore. God or fate or whatever has put you in the position where you have great power. And you know what that comes with? Frickin' responsibility. So nut up and do the right thing. That is what Spider-Man is. Talk about completely just misunderstanding the core elements of the source material and changing that line to mean the literal opposite of, hey, you want powers, baby? All you got to do is accept responsibility.
Which I'll push back a little bit because I don't hate the potential message there.
Yeah.
Because if you're willing to take on responsibility, that's what empowers you, is being responsible.
Right.
Of course, there's going to be this like problem of the way that
sure,
that
but that's not
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying it's not.
It's not Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. But you know what was Spider-Man? You know what was Spider-Man? When they get to the top of the Pepsi-Cola building and bad Spider-Man goes, what'll it be, Spider-Man? Save the woman you love or suffer the children?
You can't save all three, except that 10 minutes ago we were just told that you can be in multiple places at once, so we're not worried at all.
David is my witness. I
bro.
called that like a good like 30 seconds before it happened.
It absolutely though is a constant with Spider-Man of the like, you got to make a choice between these two, and he's gonna be able to do both.
Can we talk
90% of the time?
Can we talk about her astral projection powers, like the?
Yeah. So I did some research because I'm familiar with Madame Web, but I did not.
You can be in multiple places at once.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that's not a thing that she has. She does have
David,
astral
that's
projection.
because it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she has psychic powers. She can see the future. Like she can see different multiverses, threads in the web of the fabric of the universe, right? And she can astral project herself. But as far as I've seen, it's basically like, Doctor Strange. Like she can take her spirit out of her body and she can, astral project moonwalk, but she can't like physically affect anything, and she definitely can't be in multiple places at the same time. I couldn't. Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, I could be wrong because there's so many comics; it goes all over the place, But
it's good to see it's good to see real quick. It's good to see Eldan. I assume this means that the previous live stream that I was on is finally ended, and
an hour and a half later,
transitioning over here. Yeah. Thanks for joining the stream.
I just love that scene because she's like, "Oh, I'm going to charge my power in front of my enemy, or even though it requires me to not move,
to stand still and
stand still." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna let you kind of help them." And she's like,
well, "If you can be in multiple places look, if her power is being able to be in multiple places at once, she only needs to astral project to two of the girls, and she can go save the other one and not get punched in real life."
How about you choose where not to be, right?
Yeah, but
that was the only time.
Instead of helping like two of them, she just like giving them like message. Yeah.
See, I thought that's when I thought that was going to be when she got paralyzed, because they show her hitting her back, but then she stands up and walks, and I was like, well, okay, so that wasn't it. And then she falls into the water, and I was like, okay, is this it? And then that wasn't it. They never showed her get paralyzed. She just is at the end of the movie. Yeah. And you guys want to know what's the best thing about the future?
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And
like I wanted to love the like jokes and references of like, oh, Uncle Ben, he's so excited to be an uncle, all of the fun with none of the responsibility. That's what he thinks. Like, oh, that's a great fun little nod. But I wanted to like it so much more, but it was just so.
Except it also implies that she knows that Uncle Ben's gonna die, and she doesn't do anything about it.
See,
I like to pretend I'm not an idiot, but I never put two and two together that this was Ben Parker.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew. I don't.
He's introduced as Ben Parker.
I didn't catch that. I heard Ben. So I'm just like, oh, cool, a dude named Ben. And then they did the line, and I'm like, oh, this is a really terrible reference.
In his defense, the audio was terrible. So the audio design
I didn't catch it.
Most of the things were unintelligible. So I don't blame you.
Yeah,
when they're
I
talking,
had no idea.
when Madame Web is talking to the guy, Ezekiel is unintelligible.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't
Oh.
actually know any of this until like towards the end. And in fact, actually, there's a picture I found on Twitter that it's just lists 7 different things that happen in the movie. Like she splits
that.
into ghosts and all of this other stuff. And guess which one of these 7 things didn't happen in the movie? I didn't realize I got the incomplete version of that picture because I found the full thing that was, I think it was shared by Weekend Warrior. And in the bottom right, it says, spoiler alert, all of these things happen. And I'm like, I was wrong? I just walked out of the theater. How am I wrong? And then I went on IMDb, and sure as hell, it says Ben Parker. And I'm like, there's no way I missed this.
Yep.
Yeah, I
At
can
least it was
imagine
not a
if you missed because they only say it once. They said, "This is my partner, Ben Parker," and if you missed that one line, that would be a completely different experience.
Yes,
the rest
it
of
was.
the rest of your names that are used there are very common names. You never actually hear Peter. They
Mary.
say, Mary and Robert, I think, are Peter's parents.
But
They
like the
never
whole
say the
movie, they're
name of the
teasing
girl that
it.
Ben
They're like,
decides that he's
"What are you
like,
gonna name your baby?
Yeah.
Let's make a game out of it. Is it gonna be Peter? Is it gonna be Alejandro?
Is it going to be Ben? Yeah.
Definitely not Juan.
Is it gonna be Pedro?
Ezequiel. Yeah, no, but holy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this implies that the whole phrase of "with great power, great responsibility" was
You said
originated
with gay
from Madam
With gay
Web.
power.
With gay power,
Remember, with gay power comes great
we are
responsibility.
responsibility. Yeah, but with great power came from Madam Web. So she not only knew that Ben was going to die or that he needed to say that phrase to Spider-Man, but she let it happen. And she coined the freaking term. And I
don't
guess that Ben
necessarily
did
hate
it
that
better.
because it's just more of a like it's a concept and people are just playing around with the different versions of it. It's whatever. She didn't come up with it either. She saw it around somewhere.
Remember, Peter.
No, the Peruvian guy, the native
Yeah,
Peruvian
the
guy.
Peruvian guy came up with it, and
The
that's it.
Peruvian blazer.
That's fine.
Remember, Peter. With gay power comes autoimmune deficiency.
He had a Peruvian blazer, bro. He did have a bandana because every Latino in every single freaking gringo thing has to have a bandana, so you know he's Latino. He had a bandana here in the neck, like good Latino.
This movie was wild.
Where's yours? Come on.
Yeah.
Where's yours, Texman?
And the Spider Natives. Yeah, I actually had one. I had actually a T-shirt that had a bandana in it because it was a joke, but I don't find it. Yeah, probably my ex stole it or something.
Justin liked my AIDS joke.
I didn't get it because I'm Mexican, so yeah, I was there. I truly didn't get it, so I
You
was
weren't
like,
up here
hey,
in the 80s. It's okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, I was worried.
so I still have a somewhat limited time. I got another half hour or so,
Yeah.
but I texted you earlier, Alan, that there's something I wanted to see if I could bring up that I figured would be a great thing to talk about here.
Sure. Yeah. You also, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if we're done, I'm not sure if we're.
I wanted
I've got
to
a
say
little bit of time.
one last thing and one funny last thing that ties with the thing of the taxi. The taxi that she never returned the taxi. Then she goes in the hospital and they're not still looking for her, but then she can adopt these trickies that she just adopted.
Two of which still have parents.
Yeah, exactly. And one of them, she's like, okay, with the parent got deported and she lost her parent, whatever. And the other one is like, oh, my parents are super rich. It's like, okay. So, but they know the identity of the people that got adopted. Abducted. They don't know the identity of the abductor.
They knew a description, though. Yeah.
Exactly. They had a description.
Which also just made no sense, like in the context, like the fact, like there weren't any witnesses left alive that would have said, "Hey, there was a woman who abducted 3 girls." Like it made no sense, but yeah.
One thing we
forgot about the thing. It's the you go.
So they put out an APB, right, description of this abductor, right, and then literally the same day The old guy.
Wait, we know that it's
The newspaper.
we know that it's at least like 4 hours later because it took like an hour to drive to the woods, and then she said she was gone for 3 hours. So 4 hours, let's be generous. Let's say 5 hours after they were abducted.
But the same
They
day.
go the same day. They go to a trucker
Diner,
a trucker biker gang diner that for some reason
also high school hangout.
is only full of high school students and one trucker. Go on, David.
And the trucker is reading a newspaper with her description.
He's reading a newspaper.
The day of, yeah.
How is that physically possible, David?
It's not.
Are newspapers printed in the afternoon or the morning,
Sometimes,
David?
They used to be.
If there's
Not
an
by
extra,
2003, they'd stopped, but they used to.
yeah. If there's an extra, they'll print a second printing that day for
It should have been.
They wouldn't have been doing that in 2003. By 2003,
It should have been an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
And I mean, by Mexico rules,
Well,
like
and
in Mexico
I
could have
was
been
really-
like,
Or
I was really
have it have been
the
why he
next
decided
morning.
that these 3 girls were the ones that were abducted before. Like where he made that logic leap and then decided to call the cops was a very bizarre one to me.
Yeah.
That was definitely a logic.
Or
Either
just
had
have
to
it
have
be
been-
the next day.
Yeah. Either had to have been the next day or a TV.
Yeah, that's much better.
and he's calling the police right next to them, and he's looking at it like, oh, these girls, and they're like just stripping, like they are 16-year-old, and they put them to strip down in front of these young boys that are obviously looking down there. The way that these chicks are up there, the way these chicks are sexualized, by the way, is disgusting. I don't know if you noticed, because the entire movie they do not stop showing their belly button, and they're like literally they all the movie they're like that with the belly button, and there are thousands of ass shots, belly button shots, titty cleavage shots. Then they do the Sydney Sweeney stuff, because Sydney Sweeney, is incredibly attractive. She's 26 years old. She's playing a 16-year-old, which is like so weird.
I will say too, that the belly button thing was definitely very much a fad during that time period.
Yeah.
Showing your belly button around America, that was absolutely a trend and fad for all high school kids. Were trying to do
This
that.
was the era of the Britney Spears midriff.
Yeah, but they are also running away from the police, no?
Yeah, and I know we were saying, hey, look, this film isn't actually that woke. But they also had high schoolers doing a table dance, and that's pretty on par. So
That's just Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I was that's what I was trying
I
to.
also will give that a bunch of high school kids would want to get on the table and dance and think that they're being sexy with it. So I think that high school would want to do that. Sure,
Okay, but they weren't shoved off by the owner.
I know they would have been immediately
the
kicked
owner
out.
is totally fine with this. Like they're not getting kicked out.
Okay, we're done talking about Madam Web. Bearded, you wanted to talk about Dune Part 1 because you finally got around to seeing it.
I went around. I finally got to see Dune Part 1. It was very
okay. That's for me. That's my way to.
Okay, peace out.
To go because I'm tired of screaming about Madam Web.
Okay, just
and you guys
remember,
know too much. Yeah, you guys know too
Avatar is next week, guys.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
We're gonna do the first. We're gonna do the first 4 episodes at least,
and then we'll see if we want to split it into a second week or
and
3
if it's not that great, I think we decided to just binge all of it and talk about it all this next season.
For what I've seen,
otherwise
it's gonna be a mess.
Talking about
getting
it
rid of
the
Sokka
week after,
being a sexist dick, so it's probably going to be terrible.
Yeah.
No, never mind that. But the latest thing that they said is that they said exactly this: is that they had to they wanted to. Do you have that? Oh, show it.
Yeah, that one does not look good.
Uncle Boomy. I mean, not Uncle Boomy.
This is their promo material.
I saw that video and it doesn't look good, but I have seen somebody who has proven themselves to not be too much of a shill that said that the first episode was very, very good. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, talk about Dune.
We've also been watching.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been watching through the first season of that again. I don't
So
know if they're just adapting the first season or are they trying to do all of them just this season.
I'm assuming
They're just doing season 1.
First season.
They're rewriting it though.
Well,
they're gonna have Azula incorporated into season 1, though.
Yeah, but they say that they didn't have enough time to cover every story of the season 1.
Of
But
course.
they
Yeah,
actually no. Listen, they have 1 hour and 40 minutes extra of time of the entire time of the cartoon of the first season because
Yep.
their episodes are longer.
Right.
And yeah, they don't have every episode of the Avatar. It was just 20 minutes because of the the commercials and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So to answer the
19
question-
minutes, I think.
To answer the questions in the chat, this is Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's not the Blue Alien one,
Magic one.
and it doesn't have Korra in it. That's the sequel.
All right, see you guys. Have a good
Okay,
week.
peace out. Check out his
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
Angry
Later,
Mexican.
buddy.
Oh yeah, I just made a video about how Madam Web is racist, although it's not. But I was just making fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's the white savior.
There you go.
Black coverage.
All right. So Dune.
Yes, I was so excited. I finally got to see Dune Part 1. I was really bummed. I was wanting to find a place where they would do like a marathon and do it right before, and I could go just straight one into the other one.
Yeah.
But it was very, very good. I remember about maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and about the time they're getting to Arrakis, I'm sitting there going, man, this is just so well done, so well told. About the time that the first movie
You
came
haven't read
out,
the books, right?
I did read the first book. Well,
Okay.
I audiobooked it.
Okay.
But the problem was
That's
I was audiobooking it half the time I was half asleep or I was very distracted, and I was audiobooking it at 2 times speed, which works for me for a lot of things. But when it's a new property, I've come to realize since then, I had a hard time keeping up with everything.
Mhm.
And so I listened to the book, and I'm like, okay, I see this has got some interesting stuff going on here, but there was a lot of pieces that I didn't really get latched onto very well. But they did a great job of explaining this whole the political machinations and maneuverings that have the Harkonnens going, and then the Atreides family taking over, and all of that going on. It was really well done.
There are a couple shortcomings which I hope they'll go back and fill in part 2.
Yeah.
Just world building wise, like they had to cover a lot, and they've actually covered 2/3 of the book. So I think they'll have time to go back and fill in a couple of the things that I was disappointed that they didn't include in part 1. But
yeah. But I really liked it. I thought it was really, really good, really well.
2
Like,
weeks.
the production quality was great. Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, we're really, really close.
The only Hollywood movie I've been looking forward to in the last 4 years.
Yeah. And Oscar Isaac was just rocking it. As,
phenomenal.
Duke Atreides, like his stuff with. I remember this because I don't remember if it was from the trailers or if it was from the book, but his bit where Paul's like, "What if I'm not the heir of House Atreides or whatever?" And his dad just being like, "Then you'll have been everything you're ever supposed to be, which is my son, and I love you. That's great." Even while we're in the middle of this thing that is very big on the passing on legacy and how important it is, that was awesome. Oh,
yeah.
That was really, really cool. And you can't go wrong with Jason Momoa was just he was glorious. I love Jason Momoa.
I think all the casting was really good.
Yeah, all of it. Like Gurney
Zendaya
Halleck was just
barely in it at
phenomenally
the end, but he's good
cast.
too. You know?
The only thing I don't think Zendaya is cast well, but that's just me. I don't like her. So.
She didn't get to do much with the first movie, so we'll have to see. She also, as I'm trying to think back on the book, her role is important, but it doesn't feel like she has a lot that she does, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Johnny doesn't really do much in the novel
so
until you get to the last half of the second part.
Yeah, she's much more important in book 2.
Because most of the
I haven't read
any
any of the other books,
two
but
of
I
them
might come back
have.
and read those ones now.
Most of what Johnny and Paul go through is off screen because of the time jump.
Yeah, because that time jump there. Yep.
So one thing I think they did really well in Dune Part 1, especially compared to the original, 80s version, is the.
I still haven't seen it. I want to see it. But...
Dude, go watch the 80s. It's so fun. It's so bad, and I love it.
I just need to watch this so I can see the new one and we can talk about it here. Because I want to go back and see these original things. I want to have read the book and see the thing and experience it like a fan from the beginning. But
I really like the way the visual of the little energy shields that they do, and
that was
the
cool.
knives. I thought that was phenomenally done.
Really, really cool.
It looked fantastic.
It looked amazing.
My favorite shot from the movie is because their ships are shielded too, and when the Harkonnens first attack, they have the little spinny bombs
bombs go.
The first one that hits, they linger on that shot for a long time, and you see it burrows through the shield, much like the little dart thing that they do with
with the Duke
when the doctor
with Leto.
Yeah.
It does the same thing with the ship, and then passes through the shield and hits the ship, and then the ship explodes inside the shield. It explodes, and then obviously breaks whatever mechanism is creating the shield, and then like breaks out of that. And when the shield dissipates, it like turns into an implosion. That it is just the most gorgeous CGI I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, their CGI and the design too. They're awesome. Dragonfly ships are just really well designed. It looks amazing. They did a really, really good job with all the visual.
And she's gonna have to get very emotional in part 2.
Yeah.
So
the one thing about the CG that bugged me in the first part, while the rest of it is obviously fantastic, it's
the
just
one
a personal
vision
preference. The worms look fantastic. I just wish they were the 3-jawed ones because they're just funny to look at. They look like hairy sphincters, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say, but you've seen the popcorn buckets that they're promoting for Doom 2. I think we've shown them on the show here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that one got demonetized for not safe for work content, but
I think it's all worth it for the one shot that you get with Paul staring down the sandworm, and it pans out and it looks like an iris. Like, it's like staring. It's good. I agree somewhat, but I also really like that shot, which you wouldn't have if it was a 3-jawed.
Oh, agreed. It's more personal preference because it would be closer to the book. They still look great. I mean, the size, their girth is so well translated. Like when it eats the spice tank.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, that shot when the sand liquefies too, and they're like sinking into it, you're like, it's just like paranoia. Like, beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
Good stuff. So, and Skarsgård with the big, tall looking creepy thing. You saw a lot of that in the trailer for the first one. I remember seeing that, and that was some good stuff there.
As the Baron.
The other one, the one that I'll say too is that kind of throws me off a little bit is actually Paul's mom. In the book, she always came across a lot more stoic than what you see, and she does do a lot of that, like pulling it in and becoming, taking it in. But I felt like she would have. I don't know. I almost felt like they gave us too much of her. I mean, she was really acting the crap out of that.
Yeah, she is depicted as much more emotional than a Bene Gesserit should act. It was kind of necessary in the adaptation, at least for the scene at the beginning where Paul is doing the testing. Like, they gave all of the internal dialogue to her character saying it out loud because she was scared for her son. And that was a smart way to translate a very hard to translate scene onto cinema. It does come at the cost of making her character look weaker. But I don't know how it's really hard to get that information out any other way, and I think it was a smart choice. It obviously comes with a sacrifice.
Which is the problem. One of the problems with the original
which just
half of the movie, or more than half of the movie, is just internal dialogue.
It's so fun though,
in a voiceover, it's just like, what is this?
Like, the actual lines that she's saying are things that actually Paul is saying in the book, but in his head, And
I don't even necessarily mind her talking to him and being like, just do what she said, like the way she communicates to him doesn't necessarily bother me, but the scenes where she is alone and you see her crumple, powerful scenes. But because I want her to, she has been so, like, my read of, again, I've only read it once and it was a little bit of a overview of it, but like, that she would have had more control over herself all the time, but that you could see it going underneath her. See it, Jacob? See it kind of underneath the surface rather than being something that comes out like that. Even though, again, like, I can't complain because the performance of it was so good and it was such a powerful moment. It's really hard to complain about, but it it's kind of like you guys were talking about with the sandworms, where it's like, I like this, but I also wish it was this, but you can't have both of those. So
Yeah.
And
I'm
what a
very
stark contrast between this and, say, the example earlier of Madam
Yes,
Web,
yes.
where everything is explained. Oh,
Wait, it doesn't hold
my
your
mother
hand.
was with this person. My mother was in Peru. It's like,
But
yes,
it
we
did
can tell
so
this if you would just show us
beautifully.
the note. Here, she kind of has to, because as we all
Yeah.
know, the 80% of the dialogue in the book is
is
internal
is,
monologue.
is Paul thinking in his head. It's like Ender's Game. Half of the book is in his head. Yeah.
Yeah. But goodness.
I'm-
And again, this one did such a great job of giving that exposition in a way that made it make sense, in a way that I didn't get when I was reading the book. That, granted, I was a little tired and distracted as I was reading it, but man, that was just so well done in this movie. It simplified it, but
Yeah.
it laid it out,
I'm
and it demonstrated it while not just leaving it all up to you to figure it out. It said a lot of it pretty clearly, you know.
I'm really looking forward to Austin Butler in part 2 as Frayed. It looks like he's gonna just kill that role, and I mean,
Yeah.
and Christopher Walken as what a wild choice to make him the Emperor, but like I think it's perfect. I'm really excited for part 2. I'm worried that he's already talked about he has to change the ending a little bit to lead into the next book, which I don't think you need to really do, but I mean, if you know the ending of the book, it's going to be really, really hard to do some of the stuff. And we know, and they just announced who the casting is going to be for that role as an adult. But a lot of it has to be done as a little baby, and that's going to be hard to do. So, I think the casting is perfect. Did you see?
I haven't read the other book.
It's Anya Taylor-Joy. No, this is book 1.
Oh,
It's
this is
for
book one?
it's for his sister,
Oh,
Aaliyah.
Oh, really?
yeah.
But the problem is she doesn't appear as an adult in the first book.
Okay.
So there's gonna I don't know what they're gonna do. They're probably just gonna have her age really fast or something,
Dream sequence.
or have her appear as Anya Taylor-Joy in Dream Sequence. But
Okay, that's right.
I think the casting is
Forgot about all that
perfect,
stuff.
especially
No,
if you
wait,
read.
wait. I could have sworn I'd have to go back through it again, I suppose, because I have the book. I could have sworn he sees visions of his sister in the future and what she ends up doing.
Not in book 1, or maybe,
Sure?
maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, if she appears as an adult, it has to be in Dream Sequence, unless they just maybe they're gonna do like a Twilight thing and they make her grow really fast, which is kind of what. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. That's going to be very, very difficult for what she needs to do on screen as a like 8-year-old child. You know, it's going to be tough. But I love the casting for her in the future for Dune Messiah, and I know Villeneuve says he's not interested in adapting past Dune Messiah, but if someone else picks it up and they do Children of Dune. The plot, like her role in that book, seeing Anya Taylor-Joy do it would just be a treat. It would be. I would love to see that on screen.
So not to take over your show, but talking about a potential transition between Walken as the Emperor to what everybody's favorite football ads were. I quite liked the Talking Like Walken one.
Oh, I didn't see any of them.
I haven't seen that.
I saw the Christian one that was very cringy, and that was it.
Yeah, I thought that was fine. I liked that. There's a great one with Arnold being a State Farm agent, like a Geneva.
Oh, that was a football ad? Okay. I've seen that retroactively, not in the Super Bowl. It's been playing elsewhere.
And then the other one that I've seen all over the place beyond the Super Bowl that was clever but very like, this is weird, was the Sarah V with Michael Cera.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I haven't seen that one either. I've seen the one with Tina Fey having a whole bunch of body doubles promoting apartments.com or something. Or no, it's some Travelocity or hotel or something like that.
I think
that was all right, but
yeah,
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I watched the Super Bowl itself and had fun with it, but there were a handful of good trailers in there. I thought the Deadpool and Wolverine one that came out.
Yeah.
I don't like the TVA.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out. I'm curious as to where they go with it, but
It might be great. It might just be terrible. But
That's the case with everything these days.
David, you sent me this article. This is the original show creators on why they left the project.
Yeah.
The Netflix show is not going to be what Brian and I intended to make. So
what does it go into with that?
That's some good news.
That's all. I don't think they're legally allowed to say.
Yeah, they're being very vague about why they left.
They said they left the project, and it was because that it wasn't quite what they intended to make, and so they decided to leave. So, but
like Albeleo mentioned, we know that Sokka's not going to be sexist anymore. They've removed his problematic character growth, where he learns to not be sexist.
Yeah, that's so.
I don't remember who it was. I think it was Weekend Warrior. If it wasn't, it was Desparo. But they raised a good point. Like, what lesson is Suki going to teach Sokka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a big point of humility for him to,
I don't even know if they're going to introduce the Kyoshi Warriors this season, because they said they're specifically not going to have Aang going on side adventures like riding the giant elephant koi, which is where you meet the Kyoshi Warriors. They could have them come in a different location.
Yeah.
But that's crucial to Aang's character. He's not trying. He's running from his responsibilities. He's 12.
You might remember that's the reason why he's frozen in ice to begin with, is because he doesn't want to take on the Fire Lord.
Yeah.
The Kyoshi Warriors, Mark Clark.
There's Azula right there.
Yeah, Azula's in it. You're going to see the Fire Lord in season 1 too.
That's fine.
I think for the most part the casting looks okay, except I can't stand Zuko. I think that he just doesn't look the part. I can't say his performance is going to be bad, but he doesn't look like Zuko to me, and I don't like Azula either. I think she looks. They both have just like kid faces, They're both too pudgy.
Going back to the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I don't feel too bad about the Zuko there, because he looks very young when he's got the bald head with the
top knot. Yeah. And I completely forgot that he started off season 1 with a top knot. So I was complaining about that. I was like, he doesn't look, but really I forgot. He starts out with a top knot, and then he gets the
because of how big that growth is.
Like Ozai looks good.
Ozai looks amazing. Yeah,
Sokka looks good. I don't really dislike or like Katara, who's cut off in the poster. Yeah. But Aang looks good too. Like it could be good.
I'm super stoked for Iroh because I love that actor. He was in besides being in Mando, he was also in the Koreans in Canada corner store thing. But that was a really fun show.
I know what show you're talking about, and I haven't watched it. The Convenience.
Yes, Kim's Convenience. There we are. Yeah, and he's really funny in that one.
Good, because he's supposed to be funny. So I don't know anything about him.
Yeah,
you've seen Korra, but you haven't seen Avatar.
He's mentioned this before. We've talked about it on the show. I don't know why it's a surprise.
It's still a surprise. It's shocking every time. Why?
Yeah. The first season of Korra was pretty solid. The second one I kind of
seems like,
and then it just kind of.
If you want to make it woke, though, like why would you take out the warriors who get to berate Sokka for being sexist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just going to have him be the lovable oaf the whole time, and he's not going to have any opportunity for character growth.
That is something I'm a little bit worried about, to see where they go. Or I wonder if they'll just make it so that he is dismissive but not quite as over the top as he was. Because having just watched it, he's pretty over the top with his like dumb girls blah blah blah, which is very like kiddish, as opposed to the thing that I've heard is that they lean less on his goofiness. They definitely have him being goofy, but they lean more on him like the responsibility that he feels as the last warrior in his tribe there.
Right.
Yeah.
When they pick up. So that's going to be an interesting thing too. It'll be interesting to see how that. I don't know. I'm curious. Yeah,
amazingly though,
good.
Screen Rant came out with this. Live action
Yeah.
Airbenders Sokka change misses the point of his story, which is what we've been saying the whole time, and that deserves one of these.
Screen rants. Good takes?
Give us
Yeah.
them
Coming out with some good articles lately. I've been kind of surprised.
give us them screen rant the Screen Rant Diamond in the Rough awards in the chat if you're a channel member, please.
Screen Rant's Redemption Arc 2024 was not on my.
That was not on my thing.
It wasn't on your 2024 bingo. We get them occasionally. They're very rare, but that's why I have the stinger.
Yep.
They're taking out there's no war in Ba Sing Se. There actually is no war in Ba Sing Se, which is kind of the
That's the Earth Kingdom, right?
yeah.
What is the point of going to Ba Sing Se then?
Well,
I don't know.
Wait, if they're gonna do.
so here's
no,
there's a
the
couple of
tea
interesting things
leaves.
though with this, because in Ba Sing Se, the general populace aren't feeling the effects of the war. They're feeling the effects of a totalitarian government that was that was keeping down this idea, because there is no war in Ba Sing Se because they've kept it down, because they've just been capitulating or whatever. Like, so I can see the people like having the rug ripped out from beneath their feet, but
Sure.
I'm curious.
Okay,
I'm
so that comment
nervous
there
'cause
is like
that's
they're not doing the war in season 1. Yeah, that's fine. But if they're still talking here about removing the war in Ba Sing Se for later seasons, that drastically changes a great deal of what these characters are supposed to develop through. Because Ba Sing Se is arguably the best the whole stretch of the series.
I think what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing is they're gonna merge Omashu and Ba Sing Se into one place. So King Boomy is going to be the king of Ba Sing Se.
Oh God, please no.
It makes sense if
I
you're
can
like
understand why you would-
condensing. Like I feel like that's a change they would make.
If you need to condense, I get why that's where you would go. I do agree that it's probably the wrong choice, but I can see why they make that choice. I could see that choice being made. That makes me a little nervous because I don't like that, but I could see why that would happen. Yeah,
But-
that'll be interesting.
There really is no war in Ba Sing Se, guys.
Hey, well, all I've got to say real quick is
Maybe that's what it is he's gaslighting us here to say.
If this is some fifth dimensional chess move where it's literally a joke that there's no war in Ba Sing Se because that's the joke, I mean, I'd be impressed.
Well, the biggest thing that I'm worried about is, that they still keep the cabbage guy in. That's really my concern.
I've heard. They've got the cabbage guy, and he's played by the actor who voiced him in the animated, which is awesome. So, hey, I've got to get out of here. It's
okay, get out of here.
My evening time, but you guys have a great one. Thanks for chatting. Always great to share our nerdy opinions.
Yeah.
So, have you not been entertained? All right, talk to you later.
Yeah, obviously it's not as relevant in season 1, but it's important to the story.
She's not wrong though. It's
yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, if they only plan on making one season, I don't think that's they plan on adapting the whole thing.
Yeah, why would you?
I think I'm reading into your comment. I don't think that's what you're saying. But yeah. Did you guys see this though? So we've talked about the Pendragon cycle on the show. Daily Wire's doing Arthur. Did you guys see this update?
I did not.
They're straight up doing bullfighting.
Huh.
Hold on, I gotta mute it for myself so that I don't hear what you're not hearing. But they did it in real life. Look at this. They had real people jumping over bulls.
Holy crap!
There's with no safeguards other than these are professionals.
Holy cow!
This is the King Arthur. The Daily Wire is adapting the Pendragon cycle.
Yeah.
The story of King Arthur.
Really?
Yeah. And they've done these production and we were questioning how old the footage is because for a time they were releasing one every week and we did but there was a huge gap between this one and the last one, so we know that they've been filming for a while. This is slated to release this year, I believe.
I think this one is going to be released before the Snow White and the Evil Queen.
Yeah, but like they're
I
going
think they
over.
just wrapped filming for the last of this.
Like they've this looks like a.
That set looks nice too. That looks really good.
This looks like an incredibly impressive production.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah, like we this is a step up from like the videos they were releasing before. We're like, okay, this could be good, but this is like this was so different.
That's the most impressive set I've seen too, because previously there was an old village area that they were filming in, which looked all right, and it showed the behind the scenes, and they were just
where they built an entire village. Yeah.
But yeah, that set looked very impressive.
I agree.
I see a lot of Rome.
crazy.
Are they trying to make a more realistic version
of
the Arturian? So they're going to try to do what the old Clive Owen.
Well, they're trying to adapt the Pendragon Cycle books.
Yeah, the Pendragon Cycle is a series of books on the Arthurian legends, but yeah, I mean there's tons of books.
Like I am officially hyped for the show. I was curious, but I'm excited. And X broke again. The video stopped working.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a whole bunch of news. So I'm just gonna breeze through these. You sent me a bunch of Madam Web reviews, David.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that I haven't seen a whole lot of shilling for the show. Like for
Did you? Except for this one. You didn't send me this one. Did you see this one though? Madam Web is bad on. Madam Web is bad on purpose.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I sent you.
Okay.
But even if you go and read that article, it doesn't say it's a great movie. I mean, it says it's bad, it's rough. We get it, but it feels like it's kind of a nod to the movies that they made. Back in the 60s and 70s that were supposed to be bad.
This one's great.
At least 2 of the 10,000 multiverses.
So Sony proudly announces that Madam Web is breaking box office records in at least 2 of the 10,000 multiverses.
That's good.
So these are the ones you sent me. Every Spider-Man and spin-off movie ranked from, and I'm assuming Madam West as the worst one.
Yeah, Madam Web.
Morbius and then Madam Web.
Morbius they said is the worst, and then Madam Web.
Right.
The only thing I more or less agree with this list. The only thing that was weird is they put the Amazing Spider-Mans were worse than the Venom ones, which like I said, I enjoyed Venom, but I think and Amazing Spider-Man 2 is better than Amazing Spider-Man 1.
No, I mean that one's significantly worse than the first one.
Exactly. But they're ranking not terrible.
No, this is a bad.
I would switch up a lot of it. I think Spider-Man 2 is better. Across the Spider-Verse should be down.
Spider-Man 2 is number 1.
Spider-Man 2 is definitely number 1.
Across the Spider-Verse was awful.
Yeah, I did not enjoy it. It wasn't awful. It just wasn't great. The first one though,
first one's good.
Was really good. I think that's probably the 3rd best Spider-Man movie.
Wait. I was paying attention to something else. I was looking at the Madam Web reviews.
Yeah.
So this is a list of Spider-Man movies?
Yeah, ranked from worst.
It's ranking all the best Spider-Man.
These are the Sony ones. So Morbius then Madam Web.
I think Morbius is better than Madam Web.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man is bad. Carnage was terrible. Most of everything Sony produced was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's 1 and 2 were like the only ones really worth the damn. Across the Spider-Verse is fine.
Yeah.
I really hope 2 does not totally bumble it.
Yep. Agree. Yeah. Again, not super high praise.
Yeah, it's. Oh yeah, this is one you said.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, even Screen Rant is like, it's not good. So
I've seen a lot of shilling. Let me find.
I haven't seen any shilling aside from direct marketing. And
Right.
the direct marketing was that little bit about, it was so authentic because I forced them to put in this hanging upside down thing. And then this movie is different than any other super movie because it has
a mystery.
Mystery. It has mystery embedded in the story. Like, okay, let's do. How many other superhero movies have mystery in it? Right?
Batman.
What mystery are they talking about?
All of the
Every single Batman movie.
Yeah. What about
even Batman versus Superman was a mystery movie?
What about
Yeah, we
Iron
were
Man
all wondering
3,
why and how it got
who Mandarin was, right? What about Civil War? About the reveal about Tony Stark's parents? There's tons of mystery in all superhero movies. But yeah, Batman, like every single Batman movie, that's the glaring omission, right? But yeah, that's what kind of praise. That's the best thing you can say about your movie is it's so different than any other one because it has mystery. It's like, oh god.
I did find that picture, by the way, and I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of bot accounts. So they all say this, and it's the exact same across the board.
Phrasing.
Shy of one. There's one that's different, but they all say. Hashtag Madam Web is the best comic book movie since The Dark Knight. Such incredible acting, writing, and editing. There will be a before and after, and this is where I think it's a bot. There will be a before and an after Madam Web.
What does that mean?
I don't know. That last sentence is what makes me think it's a bot. But the last guy here says Madam Web is a game changer. Exceptional acting, writing, and editing. Make it the best comic book movie since The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
they're out there. If you go finding,
I do want them to keep making these though. Like I want them to do this for every superhero.
It was so
come out with a prequel for every superhero that replaces that superhero with 5 female versions of that superhero that existed before that superhero existed, making him less special. Please do it for everything.
Yeah. I like Lauren's comment here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like Jennifer Lawrence claiming to be the first action woman movie star. First woman in an action movie as the lead role.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this. It just they said Foundation is the best Isaac Asimov adaptation, which I have not watched. I will not watch it on principle because it, like The Wheel of Time, it fundamentally disregards the entire point of the books. Which the point of the books is that free will doesn't matter. They've developed a science that can predict human behavior. It's called psychohistory, which mixes together history and psychology, but applied to vast populations. And a scientist is so smart that he's able to predict the future based on the choices of the masses. And there's literally lines in the movie where, yes, individual choice won't change anything. You're because you don't matter, right? And in the show there's literally a line where they say, oh, Harry Seldon, he believed that one person could make a difference. And you're like, that is not what Foundation is about. So
I disagree though, Mark Clark. iRobot was really good.
iRobot was great.
It is a horrible adaptation, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, true.
Which some people have said about Foundation, like they enjoy the show. It might be a good TV show, but it is a horrible adaptation.
That's fair.
So, the show and some people like Mark Block find the show boring. I'm not going to watch it because I'm morally opposed to the show. Anyway, Outer Range season 2 is coming soon.
Oh,
apparently.
Okay.
I enjoyed.
I was canceled.
Yeah, I liked season 1.
It wasn't bad.
It was
kind of weird.
It was mind-boggling. That was a weird. I mean, you could see the twist coming a mile away, but it's like
It was fun. It was a fun ride,
did.
and
It was
and
great.
Josh Brolin is just entertaining the whole time. So there's that to looking forward to. Moving on, it's finally safe to assume that George R. R. Martin will never finish the Game of Thrones. Something we've all been saying for a very, very long time, but now people are saying it too. Stephen
Was
King.
he saying it? That would.
I
That
don't
would.
Stephen King is being Stephen King on Twitter. That's funny. Did you guys see this?
Wait. Go back to that. I missed it.
He's just
I'm
being
sorry.
crazy. He's just being crazy. I don't want to talk about it.
I see, okay,
It felt relevant when I emailed it to myself for the show, but there's too much. Did you guys see this?
Nope.
This is a new comic book, a new Star Wars comic book about the Obi-Wan TV show. They didn't draw any of it.
Yeah, that looks like
They traced
Photoshop filters.
screenshots from the TV show.
Yeah, that looks really bad.
These people hate you. They don't like comic books. And these are the people making comic books. It's literally just screenshots from the TV show that have been traced over, and it's an AI filter. They probably maybe none of it is manual. But it's a filter to make it look cartoony, and then they've done some black lines around everything. This is my favorite still.
Oh no! Oh no! That looks so bad.
Yeah. So Master of the TDS made it a meme because he's great.
Yeah.
But
oh man,
these people, they hate you. They hate you, and they hate what you love, and they hate that you love it more than them.
That's funny.
Oh boy. Anyway, apparently there's 2 adaptations of the 3-body problem, which I didn't know, and the one that wasn't very expensive is getting released first on Peacock.
interesting.
So, and then there's the Game of Thrones producers on the Netflix, which is going to come out sometime, which I don't know. Anyway, that's the thing.
What's the 3-body problem about?
It's a sci-fi. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna. But Christopher Nolan watched Dune Part 2, and he said it looked good. He said if the first movie was A New Hope, and the second movie is Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I saw that interview.
That's a really high that's a really high rating.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
That's high praise and high bar.
so coming from someone who knows how to make stuff good, though.
Yeah, that's good. Christopher Nolan's one of the few people in Hollywood that I still trust.
Out of Range was a slog. It was a little slow. I don't know. I liked it though.
It was slow.
It is better than most shows right now, which is a low bar, but I enjoyed it. Argyle was beat out in the second week by Migration.
Apparently, Argyle was really bad.
Yeah, it was. It was very bad. So
Somebody better fire. Somebody better convince Cavill to fire his agent, because that man is being wasted on so much crap.
I think it's his girlfriend.
His agent is his girlfriend, or his girlfriend's the reason why he's getting.
No, I think it's his. I think his agent is his girlfriend.
He needs to break up with her and
Yep,
then
that's
fire
not
her.
good.
I could be wrong about that. I know that he's working with her on the on the 40K adaptation, but
Well, that's his last hope, because he has been just trampled by Hollywood.
he should be the biggest star in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But just like he's just been screwed over, and it doesn't have quite the following that Chris Pratt has. So he's been.
Chris Pratt's pretty good though too. Like,
No, I'm saying
I
like
would watch anything that Chris Pratt is.
Hollywood doesn't like either of them. But the problem is Chris Pratt has more of a cult following.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he just has more people behind him, so Hollywood hasn't been able to kick him out.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Collider asks a very important question. How does the one power work in the Wheel of Time? Because it's never addressed in 2 seasons of the TV show.
If there's only one power, how is it so complicated? Because they don't
question.
explain it in the show.
It's a good question.
It's actually not that complicated.
Yeah. Okay, I have to share this, but I gotta change it and share the audio. Vamp, real quick. Here we go.
Yeah, Wheel of Time.
This is a fantastic compilation of why Marvel sucks right now. Can you guys hear?
It's very quiet.
Barely.
Yeah. It's turned all the way down.
Cool.
Okay. These are all the writers of Marvel.
I was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read.
What is that on the?
I don't know.
Back.
What?
This is the Oblivion HUD. Why is this here?
What? Sorry, what? What'd you ask?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, you said something.
Someone
I
asked-
didn't hear you.
Oh, that's the Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion
Yeah.
HUD.
Yeah, so someone put the overlay on. Just ignore that. It's
Okay,
someone made the video and they made it their own. It's not my compilation, but you got to watch it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So these are all the writers for all of the Marvel TV shows. And listen what they all have to say, and they all have one thing in common.
I was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with comics. I wasn't familiar with the movies.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Really?
As a creator, they put you in a bubble. They don't let you talk about any of the other projects, right?
You know, they're up for anything.
We ultimately decided to redefine it for the series and thought that it worked better for the story that we're trying to tell.
Did you ever read you've never read the comic?
When the DVD comes out, I'm going to read a Thor comic book and just see where we went wrong.
I was not very...
Oh, dear.
These people hate you.
Seriously, the fact that they're making... I mean, it's so frustrating because that's why you want a show to be adapted, right? Like that's why we wanted the Wheel of Time to be adapted, is so that you can see something that you've read, that you've enjoyed in
and
real
see it on
life.
screen.
Like, on screen. And
Yeah.
the fact that none of them are even doing that sort of research.
That's why they hate Henry Cavill, is because he knows his stuff. He's familiar with the material, and he says, hey, guys, you've got this wrong. And there's people like that in Star Wars, too, and they've...
What it usually does is it brings more people into the fandom, right? You get the normies to see the movie, and you're like, wait, maybe I should read the book, because that was really good.
Yeah.
The hubris, for sure. And then you get more people enjoying the thing that you've loved for so long.
Yeah. I've been saying this a long time. I don't think it's a requirement that you have to be... familiar with the work in order to adapt it, but you need to. You need some. Look.
You need both. You need both. You need you need someone who loves the source material, and you need someone who's never read any of it, and you need them to work together. Exactly. Because the person who's the fan is going to say we need to do this and this and this and this, and the other person is going to be like, look, we got to cut somewhere. Okay, so you need one person defending authenticity, and you need one person who is the realist. And if you work together, you can create. You get the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay. You get. We're gonna try and honor the core aspect of the books as best we can, but we also realize that we need to. Use the medium to their advantage. So we're gonna make the fight scenes a little bit longer, right? Because that's what works well in cinema. We're gonna make the battle scenes. We're gonna add a little bit of detail that wasn't there in the books, and we're gonna have to cut out some of the dialogue that slows down. Like you had people who were passionate and realist involved in those movies, and you have to make concessions. But when you shun anyone who's a fan of the source material, you get this crap.
Yeah.
And you get people who ask these questions like, why are people fans of the source material?
Yeah.
That you sent me this one, David.
Yeah, this is another one that's really sad. The reason why, well, I mean, He-Man's awesome, right? But I think one of the reasons why it was so awesome is it's not just, these characters in this fantasy world or whatever. It was actually trying to teach morals. Like every episode of the original He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, after the episode was over, it says, hey, this is what we learned from this
what did we learn today?
This is why you don't talk
it's
to
Veggie Tales, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so what we have learned applies to our lives today.
Exactly.
God has a lot to say.
And it was good. And it talked about good morals and taught people how to be good people in this awesome fantasy setting. And that's what Hollywood is lacking right now.
It's really hard to teach.
They don't know the morals.
It's really hard to teach morality if you don't have them.
Exactly.
You don't have morals.
But yeah. Anyways. So. Yeah, it's a really sad thing to see. And you see more and more of these people, whether it's the original creators of a show or a comic or a book or whatever, or if it's just other people that are deep in the lore, that want to try and make this as accurate as possible for all these adaptations, and they're not being listened to. And that there's several examples in Star Wars. Like I said, there was the guy who voiced Darth Maul, Sam Witwer. He is like steeped in this knowledge of Star Wars, and there's several things. He talked about how when they were making not Rogue One, what was the Solo movie, and Darth Maul was a cameo in there, and they were gonna put this thing, and they were gonna have his double-bladed lightsaber, and he's like, no, well, he wouldn't have had that lightsaber at this point in time. You got to do it this way, and he was doing stuff like that all the time and trying to, be loyal to the canon. And it's just, Hollywood's not listening to these people anymore. And it's really, really sad.
It's hubris. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before in the video where I discussed that writers today are the problem, which there's a cycle that a new project comes out, and then there's debate about it, and then there's division, and then people, like the people who leave the community basically like say no, it sucks, and the ones that remain are like, no, it's good, it doesn't matter, and then they find new people, and then that cycle repeats and goes over and over again.
Right.
And I find it really interesting that we're still like we're like 8 years deep in this cycle, at least. And for some reason, no one's catching on to the fact that no one likes these projects.
Yeah.
Anytime it's woke, no one cares for it. And yet they still push it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I don't understand.
And another problem too is
I think you might be wrong there. I think they finally are realizing, because money talks. I think they're realizing that woke doesn't sell. And we've kind of seen there have been several movies that we've talked about, like Argyle included, and we've said the same thing. This movie wasn't actually very woke. That wasn't the problem. It's just bad storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think there are still people still trying to push wokeness, for sure. But a lot of people have tried to pull back a little bit from it. But what's the problem is they don't have any writers who aren't woke anymore. They already filled up, their PR firms are, their PR, their HR roles are all filled up with activists who only hire activists. And what are you going to do? Fire all of the activists, or maybe wait till they go on strike and then fire them?
That's what they should have done. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people weren't invited back.
The problem goes back to DEI effectively taking place in 2010, which was 4 years prior to Gamergate.
Yes.
Because no one ever stopped shutting up. No one will shut up about Gamergate still.
Yeah.
It was like for 4 years, media was getting loaded with this DEI crap and the activists and everything else. So everything's already been front loaded. We're still trying to bleed off this poison, and I don't think it's going to go away for a while.
It won't go away for a while.
Even what was it, like 6 or 7 months ago? People were like, "Hurrah! The DEI staff are being fired at Disney." Well, like 2 or 3.
Some of them.
Only like 2 or 3 months ago, it was found that these people weren't necessarily fired. They just shifted roles because they're still in. The majority of the people that are at the top are still part of this activist crap.
Yeah. And another problem that I see with a lot of these modern movies and TV shows is that, it used to be that you had 1 or 2 or maybe 3 writers on a project. And now there's a whole committee, a whole room of writers.
That's what they were arguing for in the writer's strike. They were saying we want a minimum on any TV show in existence, a minimum of 15 writers.
Yeah, that's way too much. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, and you come up with this conglomeration of stuff, and you see it in the projects, right? You see all these ideas coming together. It's like, oh, I want a thing that does this. Oh, we should put in a scene that does this and whatever. And it just doesn't come together. You need like 3 people to maximum, I think, on a project. Any more than that is just going to make it an incoherent mess.
You need an optimist and a pessimist.
Yeah.
You need an optimist, a pessimist, and a realist involved in every project.
Yeah, there you go.
What's the old thing that Red Letter Media always liked? Like good or bad, they always praised the singular writer director.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's wrong necessarily because, at the very least, it's a coherent vision.
Yeah.
Right.
But on the other point too, it's take One Piece. I think One Piece is probably the best example of something that's different culturally that is still very conservative in their own ways, and it absolutely killed it.
And what was the difference?
It's not particularly
Leverage.
Great.
It was because the creator was involved, and he had enough leverage to say no.
Yes, and that's another thing. It's because when you walk away from the source material, and especially that's the other thing too. It's like all of these Marvel things. It's like the last one standing was Stan Lee, and he's gone.
Yeah, and even towards the end, he wasn't really mentally involved anymore, right?
Yes,
he was just there for the cameos. He didn't really have creative control or even the mental capacity most days to argue, But anyway, that's another topic. But yeah.
It is it's sad. But I also kind of think it's beyond repair. Like, I think the only thing that is going to fix it is independent media. People like the Daily Wire coming in completely on their own, making things, and it's gonna become so popular because what's the alternative is Hollywood. Like, and like you said, when they fired these activists, they just repositioned them. They're so ingrained. You can't fix a company like that without just completely gutting it, without someone like Elon Musk coming in and buying the company and stripping it down. And even then you're going to have problems because there's backdoors written into the code that still there's he's tweeting every day. They're still finding problems with Twitter, So
yeah,
I think Hollywood's just got to burn down, and independent media has to step up, and it has to be good, or people won't switch.
Yeah. And for a while, you've had some,
it's like, mediocre. Yeah.
Christian movies, that were not great,
Yeah.
But
well, that's the irony, is the preachiness is what people didn't like for so long. And now hilariously,
you can't just change. Yeah. You can't just do the same thing, but with a different message. It's still going to be preachy, and people still aren't going to like it. Yeah.
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 So.
Delicious in Dungeon.
Delicious in Dungeon is so fun. It's so fun, guys.
Fun guys. I see what you did there.
You watched it finally, right, David?
Yeah, I've watched the first 2 episodes. It was pretty good.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it's very.
It's some might say it's delicious and it's in a dungeon.
I don't know.
This whole time, I thought you were saying delicious and dungeon, but it's
No.
delicious in dungeon.
Yeah, it's poorly translated Japanese.
Yeah.
Delicious
They
in
tried to-
dungeon.
That's how
It's
they tried
ridiculous
to sell
and it's
an
wild.
acronym of D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicious and dungeon. Yeah. That I can understand that misunderstanding. It's fun. It's just it's dumb. It's not going to change the world, but
Yeah.
it's a good comfort show, and I can watch it with my kid. So
Yeah,
it's funny. They
are wonderfully committed to the bit though, because like they go in these recipes and like, oh, first you got to dice up your mandrake, and then you got to you know lay this thing, and it's like they're structuring it like, oh, this is instructions on how to actually cook this thing, but like you never do this in real life, so sometimes it just goes on and on. I'm like, okay, fine, just eat the thing already. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it can be a little repetitive too, but it's just fun. It's just charming. It's good old fashioned fun, and I kind of hope they lean into it more, but especially with these last couple episodes, they've hinted the main guy who's trying to save his sister.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of treats it like a fetish almost.
Yeah.
And these last couple episodes, it's gone kind of hard into that, where like he wanted to try like humanoid monsters, and they were like, wait, no, that's really weird. And he's like, but it's a fish person. It's mostly fish. And you're like, it's kind of funny. It's really funny. It's like, look, I wouldn't need a mermaid, but the head is a fish. Maybe we can try a bite of these guys too,
Yeah, that's silly.
It's just a funny, unique concept. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's about it. That's the show, guys. Makes me want to make noodles real bad. I don't know who Jennifer Coolidge is. She was that cook? I don't know. Anyway, Albeleo, what do you got to plug, man? Just your channel?
Primarily right now, I'm on YouTube and Twitter. You can follow me at Albeleo on both of them. Thank you all for having me, as usual.
It's super fun talking to you, man. Thanks for coming back.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, yeah, Avatar and Dune. It's gonna be a whirlwind of 2 weeks coming up, and then Shogun also starts, which looks pretty interesting.
Resident Alien is starting soon too.
That's not like a show you have to. That's not a show you have to talk about every week, though.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I also still haven't watched season 2.
Season 2 starts out really good, and then there's like 2 episodes that really took me out of it, and then the ending is really good. It's phenomenal, and I'm really excited for season 3 of what I've seen from the trailers. Anywho.
Anyway, yeah, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've been streaming for a long time now.
You were on the White Cloaks stream previously?
No, Nerdporial Lifeform.
Nerdporials? Yeah.
He's reading
Oh
through
yeah,
Wheel
that's
of Time.
the Wheel of Time.
He's reading through it, and I'm rereading it, so I caught up, and it's a book club. It's fun.
Nice.
It's a blast. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Check out Abelio's channel. Check out David's channel. He comes out with videos every once in a while.
Yep.
And Angermex has got his stuff too. Super fun. Angermex is monetized now. Yay! He makes money. I sent him his first paycheck. It was great.
Oh, it took a while.
He got paid for January, right in time. We got it right in time. His the Primos video started blowing up again.
Yeah.
So he didn't lose all that money. He still lost like the $700 that he made from the initial run of Primos is racist, but
yeah,
sucks.
Well, I'm glad he's finally raking in some dough for his hard work.
A little bit. It's something. So, yeah. Thanks for coming on. Any last words? We good? I'm tired.
Be excellent to each other.
Well, see you guys later.
See you guys later. It's Avatar. I hope it's good.
I hope it's good too.
And I don't think it will be.
It's not going to be.
Don't give me hope.
I'm not giving you hope. I'm the realist.
I know.
I'm the optimist.
I'm the pessimist. So
you're idiots.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
More than likely, yeah. All right.
Bye.
And now it is time to say goodbye.
We had a great conversation.
It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end, and the goodest ending I can think of is
right now, this moment, this night.
So I guess we just say goodbye.
So, goodbye.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day. But come back next week for more outrageous bloopers.
This is the end.
Well, there's only one thing left to do.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If it's true, please take a minute to subscribe to the channel, and you can join us along for the ride. And if you pay me, I'll try to be more entertaining, so please consider joining Patreon.